My husband of 13 years is against having our cat euthanized, implies I want to murder the cat for being an inconvenience. This is OKOP, home to the craziest true stories on earth. I'm Sophia, and Riley, if I was an inconvenience, would you euthanize me?
Duh.
Well, there you have it. So throwaway 65 31 25 51 says, for context, I am 36 female and my husband 39 male has had our cat for 7 years. We don't know how old he is as we adopted him from a deceased neighbor and he was already an adult. We think he's likely pretty old, but there's no way to tell. A year ago, he began acting strange.
How
Strange.
What does this mean?
I won't go into it, but we knew something was wrong. Go into it. Why was he acting strange?
Yeah.
That's so vague. Was he like speaking in tongues?
Or was he like, you see him one place and then you see him again and then you're like, deja vu.
Yeah.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Remember that in the Matrix?
I never saw The Matrix.
Okay. Please let me know if you've seen it.
I took him to the vet and they decided it was hyperthyroidism.
Let's look this up. Guesses?
Is that like in the legs?
Yes. Happens when the thyroid gland makes too much thyroid hormones.
I don't know where the thyroids are. This is a very manageable condition. So they put him on some medication. He didn't get better. He became anorexic and went from 9 pounds to 5 pounds.
Oh no.
Ooh.
What did he lose?
What do you mean?
Did he lose some like organs? Like that's a lot of pounds.
That's a lot of pounds for a cat. We kept adjusting his hyper T meds, but his T4 count dipped dangerously low at some point and he had to be taken off of it. He's now partially blind, partially deaf, can only eat about 25% of what he needs to sustain him, can't get to the litter box on his own, is racked with severe twitches at all times, lacks the strength to hold his head all the way up or walk correctly, and he walks almost exclusively in clockwise circles.
That's the strange things he's been doing.
Oh, yeah. It is heartbreaking to watch him. Sometimes I wonder if he's in there at all. He'll get stuck in an obvious loop. There's no question that there are severe cognitive difficulties going on.
All right. I'm calling it right now.
Yes. You have to put the cat down.
You have to.
That's a quality of life thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not fair to the cat to like force it to,
stay alive.
Yeah, that's horrible. No, that's what happened with my dog last year. His quality of life was going down a lot and he like could barely walk, and so we had to put him down. He was like 13 years old. And it's very sad, but if the quality of life isn't there and they can't walk properly,
This is true.
Yeah. Our vet, after months of tests and observation, chalks this up to old age and probably brain lesions. I don't know if I totally agree, but it doesn't matter. What do you mean you don't agree with the vet? Opie's like, I actually have a doctorate. I lack the resources to get a third or fourth opinion. We've seen 2 vets now. I spent thousands since he fell ill. Vet bills.
After $1,000? Sorry, pal.
That's what my mom says. She's like, we're not paying thousands of dollars for, an old pet.
Sue me. The way we would deal with that, if we had to take him to the vet and it was like pretty bad, they would just go into the woods with dad and never come back.
Oh, that's so sad. For another dog that he had cancer and the vet was like, you're going to have to spend $10,000. And we're like, no.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. I've spent thousands since he fell ill, vet bills, lab fees, special foods, medications, supplements, etc., and have run out of emergency pet care funds. I have to syringe feed him 3 times per day. A syringe feeding takes about 40 minutes to do. He copes pretty well with it, but it's an enormous undertaking. He's on Cloline, B12, lysine, potassium, iron, Miralax, and a high-calorie supplement, which he takes 3 times per day with each feeding. This does not sound like a pet that wants to live. Oh my God.
Have you seen those memes on TikTok where it's like,
put me out of my misery, mother?
It's like the 18-year-old dog.
Yeah, this is just sad. This is sad. And I totally get like loving your pet that you so much that you want to keep it alive. But when it's this much,
where's the line?
Yeah. He pees on the floor often because his hyper T makes him drink and urinate very often. And he can't go to the litter box on his own. He's stopped cleaning himself, so I also have to bathe him weekly. He has trouble regulating his body temp, so I also have have to monitor that and keep him heated or cooled accordingly, heating pad, etc. Mind you, I do all of this myself. My husband might refill his water dish or clean up a puddle of urine here or there, but that's it. It's an enormous responsibility. At least a fourth of my waking hours are devoted wholly to the cat. And most day, that's more like a third. I've been doing it since May of last year. No.
What?
If that's your husband's cat, like that's his problem to deal with. No, just based on the title, I'm annoyed. I'm tired. I can't make this cat better. He's never going to be better. I keep putting food and supplements into him so he won't starve to death. And to be honest, I could probably keep him alive like this for quite a while. But to what end, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced he still has the capacity for happiness. And for me personally, that's my line. I'm ready to let this cat go. And I want to be clear that it isn't because it's a lot of work to keep him alive, but because the amount of work that goes into it isn't doing anything but keeping him alive. And I feel that it is a selfish reach for a mere technicality. Absolutely. Husband does not agree.
Oh.
Too bad. You're not even taking care of this cat.
What?
He doesn't believe in euthanasia unless the animal is in clear, constant pain. Our cat is not in clear, constant pain. He's just not really there at all and hardly able to function.
I feel like with the amount of medication you put him on, there's no way he could feel pain.
Yeah, he's drugged. Oh my goodness. To my husband, life over death is greater than death. It's incredibly black and white to him. He remarks on this often. Quote, look at him sitting in his cat bed. He looks happy. This is a moment he's sure to appreciate having the opportunity to live.
And the cat just has a 3,000-mile stare in the bed.
He's walking in circles. This is very sad.
He's making his bed.
This is so sad. Opie says, okay, if you say so. I'd be willing to have a conversation about this and hope that we can come to some sort of compromise or understanding, but he's honestly being a dick about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's being selfish. This cat is in a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of pain, but like can't walk properly, is forced to be on like 50 different drugs. That's not a good life.
Oh no, this is way too soon.
That's too soon.
Over a cat.
Let the cat die, please.
Please.
Last month, we were talking about the possibility of having him put down. He grabbed the cat up and kind of cuddled him to his chest and said to him, sounds like she's ready to just give up on you. I don't know what the voice is.
Yeah, kind of offended, but it's fine.
It's not exactly Southern.
I don't think a Southern man would be saying this. He'd probably be like, oh yeah, let's get rid of it.
Okay, I'll give him a new voice. What's his voice?
English.
Sounds like she's ready to just give up on you.
That checks out so much.
Okay. I told him that was completely unfair and that no one has put in the amount of effort I have to make this cat better / more comfortable. It made me cry and I left the room.
Aww.
He eventually came to me and admitted that was an awful thing to say. He apologized and acknowledged that I'm the one putting in the work and it wasn't his place to make those judgments.
I feel like whenever he was doing that, he had the cat's arms and he's like,
oh, mother, you're ready to give up on me.
and she goes, ah.
I forgave him, but we never continued the conversation because the wound was still a bit tender.
Aw.
Fast forward to last night. He's holding the cat and remarking about how high maintenance he's becoming, kind of jokingly, but also an acknowledgement to my having spent a long time that day feeding and cleaning up after him. But then he says to the cat really clearly, but we're not going to murder you just because you're an inconvenience. Guys.
I wonder how we would feel about if it was a kid. Would he say the same things?
I'm hoping that they wouldn't put down the kid. That is a different scenario.
Because he's like treating this cat like a kid.
This cat is also like very old.
Yeah.
All we know is that they've had the cat for 7 years, but that it belonged to an older neighbor.
So the cat's had years before that as well.
Yeah. It was all I could do to not completely blow the F up. Effing seriously? I mean, sure, that's easy to say when you're not the one who has to do it all. And if we're being frank here, if it were up to my husband, this cat would have starved to death months ago because there's absolutely no way in hell he'd have the discipline to shovel food into this cat's mouth 3 times a day. Not even effing remotely possible. In fact, he's told me multiple times to just stop syringe feeding the cat with the implication that nature will run its course. How is that not murder?
Ooh.
Wait, he's so hypocritical. He's like, I would rather this cat starve to death than like put them out of their misery in the most, humane way possible. Weird. God, I'm getting furious just typing that. How dare he say such a thing? I'm so mad. I understand and respect that he's got some kind of ethical issues about the merit of euthanasia, but at this point, I'm hard pressed to give an F. I know if I went and had the cat put down on my own, he'd never forgive me. Never. What an effed up, impossible situation. And this poor cat is stuck in limbo, just making it from one feeding to the next. And now I'm thinking we shouldn't own pets together ever again. And I'm so happy we decided not to have kids. Whoa.
Oh.
I don't think she's implying that, about the needing to put down a child, but I think.
But then why did she mention that last sentence?
I think because she's saying he can't even put in, he doesn't have the discipline to take care of a cat.
So he wouldn't take care of a human. But he would make remarks about.
Yeah, her not being able to take care of the kid, maybe.
Wow. Yeah.
I think a pet is a good way to
trial run
a child. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but it's intro.
I do see a trend. Like if couples get a pet, like a dog or something, like a year and a half later, there's a kid.
They're prepping. But there are some relevant comments. Short and Sweet 33 says, your husband is being a massive a-hole to both you and the cat, making snide remarks, accusing you of wanting to murder the cat when you do 99% of the work to keep him alive. Why is that, by the way? You don't have kids, so you aren't a stay-at-home mom. I assume you both work. Why are you the one with full responsibility for the cat? How are other household tasks split? Secondly, the cat is alive and presumably not in pain, but that doesn't mean he has any quality of life left. Exactly. It sounds like he doesn't. And your husband is prepared to accept stopping feeding the cat and having him suffer as he slowly starves to death, but not having him humanely and painlessly put down by a vet. WTF. This sounds like it is a lot more about his own personal issues and arbitrary moral, in scare quotes, views than it is about care for the cat or his well-being. I literally said that. Totally agree. Links are not allowed on the sub, but Google pet quality of life scale to get some links to the criteria that vets use to determine if it is time for an animal to be put down. Maybe showing him these resources and having an objective and reasonable discussion will help. But honestly, I can understand why you're furious with your husband and maybe not in the mood for rational discussion. I would be too, but do it for the cat. Yeah, great response. Yeah.
I have something to say about the natural course of life. If you really want your cat to live a natural course of life, just put it outside for a night. There you go.
Okay, we have different.
I'm just saying, if he really wants it to be natural, that's what nature will do.
Yeah, I mean, the cat clearly can't survive on its own.
Yeah.
OP says to the question, why is that, by the way? You don't have kids, so you aren't a stay-at-home mom. I assume you both work. OP responds, we're self-employed and work from home, so we're able to be near him 24/7. Other household tasks. Oh man, that's another post comprised of a whole essay. But yeah, those things are mostly me.
Ooh.
I think honestly, this might be grounds for divorce. I think we might be edging into a divorce.
Edging.
And what would happen if you asked your husband which he thought was kinder, to let the poor thing starve to death or to put him down with the best medical science we currently had? And OP responds, this is the crux of the problem. I know he has a history with a pet being put down before he felt it was necessary, and an experience when he was younger with killing an animal to put it out of its misery. Rural farm thing. That's you, Riley.
Yep.
But I wish he'd work through these things instead of projecting them onto me. That's great about the quality of life scale. I'm absolutely going to look that up when things are less emotional and we can hopefully continue this discussion like adults. Then I think it'd be useful. Thank you. And then another commenter says, Miar says, your husband should have been involved in taking care of this cat a long time ago if he really cares about it like he says he does. It seems like most of your conversations about the cat start with him making these cruel and accusatory comments about the cat, and you're forced to take a defensive position. Start a discussion and make him understand how difficult and exhausting it is for you to continually take measures just to keep this cat functioning, and that surviving doesn't equal living. In fact, you should divide up the tasks to involve him in caring for your cat, because his lack of participation in the care of your cat is enabling his ignorance of the gravity of the situation. And if he gets sick of feeding it and wants to stop either out of laziness or some belief that it'll die painlessly, then get your vet to tell him how quick and painless an injection can be compared to effing starving your pet to death. I can't even wrap my mind around that logic. And then OP responds to the quote of him making these cruel and accusatory comments about the cat and you're forced to take a defensive position. OP says, maybe the hardest part is that I don't actually want my cat to die. Of course you don't. Of course you don't want your cat to die. I feel like that's not the point at all. And your husband does not get that. OP continues, and having to sit here and wrap his death into a positive marketing campaign is very hard on me. I lost my mom 20 months ago to brain tumor. It took her 6 months from diagnosis to death, and even that was just absolutely brutal. I projected some weird messiah complex onto this cat for a long while. They shared a lot of abnormal neurological behavior, my cat and mom, and it was difficult to separate the experiences so close to my grieving. But even I have now come to admit that there is no saving him. I suppose I'm going to have to make an effort to include him more in the care tasks, I think referring to the husband. A part of me, and I don't know how unfair it is, suspects that he's going to end up feeling the exact emotions he's been projecting onto me, that this is too much work and it'd be easier to just get it all over with so we can get back to a normal life. I think the first thing that OP needs to do is get the husband, or like force the husband to be involved.
Yeah.
Just be like, I'm not going to take care of this cat. And if you want to like keep him alive, sure. But the second that I see you not taking care of him, I'm like getting him euthanized.
Yeah.
Like give him an ultimatum. Yeah.
That's a good ultimatum because one, the husband has some issues processing what happened to him in the past, but death is such a hard concept to comprehend as humans.
Yeah.
So he's probably also dealing with that. And he needs to take care of the cat.
Yeah.
Live a day in her shoes.
Yeah. In the cat's shoes?
I don't know if we want to live a day in the cat's shoes.
Yeah.
Live in her shoes.
If you live a day in the cat's shoes, you're like, oh my God, this cat needs to.
Please kill me.
Please. And then deleted responds, cats are very good at hiding pain. I think the fact that Kitty is basically starving to death, peeing himself, and has trouble walking indicates he's probably suffering tremendously.
Ooh.
Kitty may not be bleeding or visibly hurt, but he's slowly shutting down. And while it's not an immediate pain of level 11 type, he must be constantly miserable. What you're suggesting is actually the most compassionate solution. And there is an update.
I did not know that cats hide pain.
I didn't know that either. I've never had a cat because I'm allergic to them.
I had a cat once.
Yeah.
It was very sweet to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember it, but apparently like the cat would let me do whatever I wanted to, but then I'd hug it at the end like I was little.
Yeah.
It'd never scratch me and I'd just be like, and the cat was like
cuddly.
I'd be okay with the outside cat because I'm also allergic to them.
Yeah, but you're technically not supposed to have an outside cat because they kill off bird population. They're considered an invasive species.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, an outside cat, they get mice, they get other things. And plus they like bring them to you and they're like, here's a gift.
I feel like on like a farm or something.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But just like in the neighborhoods,
Oh yeah. No, not in the neighborhoods.
Yeah. Yeah. But on a farm, I'd be like, yeah.
On a farm.
Go catch the mice.
Go catch the mice.
But there is an update.
Okay.
It's been a little over a month since I made that last post, and I want to thank all the commenters for their advice. But one commenter specifically who I feel really helped me better understand my husband's position, if not his behavior, and made confronting him about this go a lot smoother. So this commenter, I believe, says, it sounds to me like he doesn't want to deal with death as anything more than an abstract concept, something that just happens rather than something you have to accept and prepare for. If you just don't think about it, it doesn't seem real, It's scary and difficult, so avoiding really thinking about it is understandable. That could be why he's not helping you with the care. That would force him to acknowledge the reality of the situation and why he's hinting that a natural starvation death is better. Because if the cat dies without you making the choice to help, it's just a thing that happened he has to accept rather than any choice he had to think about. I think he needs to talk, really discuss death to try and get to the root of this fear. It's a hard situation and you seem to be dealing with it completely differently, more realistically for one, than him. And he may seem resentful because he can't get to the place of acceptance that you have with the inevitable.
Whoa, that's deep.
Deep.
All the other stuff's here.
Yeah, that was deep.
Whoa.
That was the bottom of the iceberg. Yeah. No, I think this is, and OP does continue a response, but I just wanted to say, it feels like if the husband was given a trolley problem and he's like, the trolley problem. It's like basically you have
one person and 5 people.
And then 5 people, but you're headed towards the 5 people and then you can decide to change the tracks to head towards the 1 person. But I feel like he would just let the 5 people die because he doesn't have to make a choice. This is his trolley problem. And OP continues, you really nailed this, Tal and Faye. I think a lot of this has to do with my mom dying, which is still very fresh for all of us. Her death touched us in different ways. For me, it gave me a weird manic complex about having to save the cat. Looking back, that has to be unhealthy for me. I can't really stress how much of my time went into caring for the cat. And I can sit here and say my husband wouldn't help me do any of it, and it'd be partially true. But the bigger part of the truth, none of his efforts would have been good enough because my standards were so unreasonably high. I didn't really want him involved because his investment didn't match mine. I couldn't at the time I made that post, but I could admit that now. Some of the blame there is my own. For him, my mom's death has made him face his own mortality. He turned 40 last month, and he's been very avoidant of death. Almost angry whenever I brought it up, you know? I can't really relate to how his experience with the cat must have been because I was too busy trying to be a hero about it. Wow, this is so deep. This is existential. We were both unfairly projecting things onto the cat. For me, my mom, for him, himself. I understand that now. Only accepting that the cat couldn't be saved and it was just his time to go, I think that was good for me. In a kind of roundabout way, it helped me better accept my mom's death.
Oh, wow.
But for him, it was nothing like that. Accepting the cat's death, even having a direct hand in it, led to a much darker place. The cat is a metaphor for death. This is what it reads like.
It is. I would like to know more about the husband, like how old he was whenever he had that traumatic experience with putting
the
down
cat. I feel like he must have
putting a
been
pet
young.
down. Yeah, the first time, because working in a rural farm area, whenever things like that happen, we don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
We just like, it's a way of life and you have to kind of have a cold shoulder about it. But my parents did a good job of like giving me a different perspective of it. But I feel like he didn't have a place to voice that safely.
Yeah, that's true.
This is his way of like avoiding it because that's how he did whenever he was younger.
True. But knowing all that, I was able to have a more productive conversation with him. He still didn't want to do it. Oh my goodness. He even openly confessed that he knew putting the cat down was the objectively right thing to do and that he understood where I was coming from, but he just couldn't get past being the direct cause of his death. Playing God, he called it. He kept saying all these things about how the cat could still dream, could still lay in the sun, could still be petted and curl up in his bed, and if he died, he'd lose those things. OP continues, I read something online, and I don't have a link and can't remember verbatim, but it went something like, animals don't think of the future and don't fondly recall the past. They only know what's happening right now. They aren't humans, I explained to him. They don't have a concept of this might be better tomorrow, the medication might start working, a miracle might happen. So it's unfair to project human concepts onto them. They don't have the ability to put the pleasure of an afternoon laying in the sunshine above suffering, because that suffering will eclipse it. Oh my goodness, this is, OP is coming at him with the facts. It wasn't just one conversation. We kept it going. I told him how much it hurt to imply I was trying to murder the cat, or that I only wanted him gone because of convenience, and he apologized. He said he felt embarrassed about reacting that way, but that it was more internally directed at himself than me. I also recruited his mom. We didn't gang up on him or anything, but I felt like it'd be helpful to have someone outside of the situation speak to him about it, and I think it was.
Oh, good.
That's good. About a week after I made that post, the cat began showing blood in his urine.
Oh.
This is absolutely the time to, like, I mean, if not before, now. Oh my God. Like, this is obviously, there's pain. I told my husband it was time. I wasn't willing to walk into the vet's office with the only intention of treating a trivial bladder problem. To what end? And I also wasn't willing to watch him strain to urinate and be in obvious pain. Neither was acceptable. He agreed that this was the objectively right course of action, but it was very hard on him. I made the decision on a weekend, so we had to wait for Monday morning. This gave us a couple great last days with our baby. I felt like my husband mostly avoided thinking of it until Monday morning, though. When it came, the cat was having a very rare good day. This went two very different ways for us. I was glad. I thought his last day on this earth isn't going to be awful. He ate more than usual. He was more alert than usual. He'd be ending his life on a positive note. I was relieved. But this caused my husband a lot of agony. I'm sure you can imagine, quote, he's having such a good day for once. Can't he just enjoy it? He wanted to put it off, but I said no, because then we just want to put it off another day, then another day, then another day. There was never going to be a good day for it. He couldn't come with me to have it done, which was something I completely understood and was okay with. I had another family member ready to go with me so that I wasn't alone. Oh, that's sad. I understand that he couldn't come, but still, it's sad to have to
Yeah, drive your cat to the vet. Oh,
Yeah. Also, there's a thing where, like, close to the end of their life, a pet can like, kind of seem more alert. I don't want to go into everything that happened because it's still a bit fresh and was very upsetting, but I will say that watching my husband's last goodbye to the cat was probably the most gutting, heartbreaking thing I've ever witnessed. I've been with this man for almost 14 years. I've seen him upset. I've seen him sad. I've seen him cry. This grief was a whole new level. And if I ever had doubts about his love for the cat, then I was wrong, and I feel ashamed for ever thinking it. We buried him together in our backyard beneath a shady tree. This is so sad. We still have the instinct that we have a cat. We still look around our feet when we push out computer chairs to make sure we won't run over something. I still wake up at 3 a.m. and get that moment of panic that I've missed a syringe feeding. He still closes the hallway door, even though there's nothing to keep out of the back rooms. I still wake up and expect something to meet me when I enter the living room. We still find ourselves setting aside little scraps of meat on our dinner plates, but quickly eating them instead. It's been very difficult, but every day gets a little better. It's probably the first time in the last 3 years we haven't had an illness or death hanging like a cloud over our lives. Thanks again for all your advice and well wishes. They really meant a lot.
Oh,
There is an edit, but oh my goodness.
it's so sad.
That's so sad.
The thing that's very interesting to me is the subconscious little maneuvers that they're doing.
Yeah.
Like computer chair, closing the door.
You definitely have those for a while.
Yeah. You don't
Yeah.
even realize it.
Because it's like muscle memory. You're just,
Huh.
you expect to see them and then they're not there.
Dang. This makes me want a dog now.
Yeah. Losing the cat makes you want a dog.
But like something to take care of,
Yeah.
have memories with.
Yeah. Eventually we'll get a house where we can have a dog.
Yes. Okay, dog.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Okay, dog.
Okay, Dogio.
Okay, Dogio.
And then you spell it out. It spells doggo.
Oh,
Dogio.
that's cute. I can't reply to every single one, but I just really wanted to thank everyone for sharing their stories about their own experiences with their pets. It may seem silly, but those kinds of comments on this post, and especially the last one, were such a huge help to me. I didn't have much support at the time. No one came along and reassured me, you're not making a mistake, this is the right thing. I just kind of had to be the main advocate and wrap it into the prettiest package possible so I could sell it to my husband as the right thing. The vet wouldn't even come in and talk to me without me paying a complete exam fee. No one offered those kinds of words to me, so you all have no idea how major a support system that was and continues to be for me. Thank you so much. OP pays cat tax. I would love to share some pictures of Sasha. Thanks so much for asking. He was such a good cat. He never got into trouble or went out of bounds. Very chill and laid back dude. A couple of pics of him here with our hamsters who he was convinced were strangely caged kittens. That is so adorable. And then Fliss Shield says, you did the right thing by your furry pal. It's effing hard and it effing sucks. More hugs. Opie says, oh man, but if this isn't a concise and accurate summation, lol. Thank you for the hugs.
Aww.
I'm sending hugs to you, OP.
Hugs.
It's really, really hard to lose a pet. But I think at the end of the day, we've said this over and over, you can't let your desire to have a pet outweigh their quality of life.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
If you're really feeling sad though, please join our Discord and we have a pets
And we
channel.
have a pets channel.
And you can go look at more pets.
Yeah.
Please
There's
do.
fun pets. Very
This
cute.
is really tough. Back home we would have definitely taken care of this cat. Well, it would have been an outdoor cat to start with, and then nature would have had its way. Then we'd been like, dang, what happened to old kitty?
Old kitty. Never came home.
But this is really sad because I mean, if they're living with you and stuff, it's a family member.
Yeah. No, it definitely is hard. But just the fact that I'm still like kind of wary about the fact that the husband wasn't helping out. Because OP was like, oh, well, was taking kind of the blame for that and saying, well, he wouldn't have, done it to my standards of taking care of the cat. But OP also mentioned how the husband wasn't doing other household chores.
Yeah.
There are some other red flags in this relationship that I think need to be addressed.
Some insights I see with the husband is he has trouble taking lead with things that he knows needs to be done. And if he can't do it, he's just going to put it off.
Yeah.
And put it off. And
until it's,
I don't know when he'll even take care of the problem, but
yeah,
he just seems to keep delaying it. A procrastinator.
He's a procrastinator.
I think the death thing has to deal with his childhood for sure.
Yeah. And it might also, he talked about how, or OP said that he kind of had to confront his mortality when OP's mom died. So maybe there's just.
But he would get angry whenever she would bring up death.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah. No, I think he needs to go to therapy.
Yeah. Therapy, join the men's group.
Get a new cat.
Have someone hear you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how often he was sharing his emotions, but.
Yeah. Well, it seems like she was like, oh, he would cry. I've seen him cry. I've seen him be sad. But this level of grief was new.
Gotcha.
But you know what? I'm not grieving.
What's that?
This next story.
Woohoo.
Am I the a-hole for training my crush's dog to sniff my crotch?
Does it smell good?
Smells like an extra large salami. So I, 20 female, have a neighbor, 22 to 24 male, and I have a crush on him. Aw. I'm so shy though, and I struggle with initiating. And I notice that the day I was carrying a pepperoni stick for a snack to eat on my way to my workout class, his dog approached me enthusiastically and was sniffing me. And this prompted a small but very cute conversation with the neighbor.
40 chess over here.
Also, I like OP's like, yeah, on my way to being super hot and fit, I was carrying a sausage stick.
Yup.
So now I carry it when I want my neighbor to run into me. It's worked 3 times thus far, and he doesn't know it's because I have a treat on me. So am I the a-hole for this? There are edits, there are updates. But John, is OP the a-hole for hiding some salami in her pants?
No, I think this is super cute.
This is super cute.
I feel like them telling the story like, oh, they're married, they got kids. Like, I used to carry a little pepperoni stick just so his dog would come to me. Adorable.
That's adorable. That's adorable. I hope these updates are you getting married.
Please.
I would like to see that.
But
Do it.
let's get into the edits. Clarification for those who need it. Don't worry, I've never given this dog any food. I know not to give dogs food without asking the owner. Hopefully, I can treat both boys soon. Smiley face.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
And as requested, I'll update here. Thank you so much for all the lovely advice and encouragements. And we do have some comments. So Unlucky Fall 6906 says, for a second, I thought you were giving him the treats. LMAO was going to say he probably thinks you're an angel, not an a-hole. And Obi responds, ha 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 ha. Maybe I should make him some. I'll have to figure out what he likes using the encounters first. And then Amdrotter says, I totally just used that as initiation. Give the dog a treat, then search your pockets and be all, oh, sorry, I've got nothing for you. How about coffee sometime? Ooh.
Pretty good pickup line.
Or I can just bring you a stick as well.
I'd like to fetch your stick.
There we go. Check and mate. OP responds, you, my friend, are genius. Commenter return emergency 9716 says, ask him first if it's okay to give the dog a treat, then proceed appropriately. Lopsided Palace says, as an added bonus, the dog will keep coming to you when it smells good because it keeps getting treats. Even the dumbest dog will eventually realize begging won't work if it never works on someone. And Crafty Monmon says, I think that is super cute. If the conversations are good, ask him out for coffee at your place since you're neighbors. And assuming he knows you're his neighbor, or to a coffee shop. Wherever you feel more comfortable. It's low stakes and removes some of the pressure of a first date. Also, I checked with my husband and you are definitely not the a-hole. OP responds, thank you so much. I'm going to see him probably tomorrow. I'm just going to be direct and ask him out. Lately, it seems he wants to hang out more, but because I get nervous, I always slip away and cut our encounter short. Seems like he wants some.
I have to say I agree.
Kind of before he can ask. And I think he can sense I'm a little shy and it's made him cautious too. He is very respectful, so I need to take a step and let him know. I'll ask to walk with him and his dog to get a coffee, and I'll bring the dog a treat. I'm going to try to pick up the ones that are safest and least likely to provoke allergy. I'll ask him if I can give it to his dog and go from there.
So quick question. Does it seem like he's kind of cutting it short and trying not to like cross the line?
No, OP's cutting it short.
OP is cutting
The
it short
woman.
to kind of keep him coming back
Yes.
for more, or she's just like a little shy and like,
OP 20 female
yeah,
is shy as heck.
that is
and is
true.
like, I like this guy. The dog likes me. I want to know if the guy likes me too. I know I like him. So she's just shy. She's just shy.
She's just shy and modest.
She's like, oh, I gotta go. Because she's so shy. But she wants more.
Go for it.
And so do we, because there is an update.
Let's go.
I received a lot of helpful advice and so much encouragement, and here's what I did. I bought dog jerky for my neighbor's dog. Don't worry, I asked my neighbor before I gave it. I also made it very clear while talking to the dog that I went out and bought this treat just for him.
Another great move.
Which resulted in my neighbor saying, "You're so sweet. I don't know if he deserves it today." Then he told me a funny story about the dog misbehaving. Now, I had practiced my segue line a million times in my apartment.
We all
In
know
the
that
mirror.
feeling. We all know that feeling.
Yep. Kissing the pillow.
Damn.
Yeah. Pillow got a lot of work in middle school.
Dude, I used to go in the shower and then practice kissing my leg.
How do you know How do you know we're nerds without?
Yo, dude, it was bad.
Bro.
Oh, man.
That knee got a lot of action.
Yeah, it did. It simulated kind of a semi-face structure.
I guess like a partly hairy face.
Yeah, dude. I had my leg was covered in hair by the time I started doing it.
First time he was munching on a lady's face. He's like, "Where's your hair?"
I don't understand this.
I feel like this is gonna come back to haunt me from the community, and the Discord's gonna go crazy with this one.
Yeah.
Join it if you haven't.
So, practiced a million times, but I got so nervous and everything went blank for a second. So I told myself, if he gets going, then I won't ask him out today. But he seemed to be in no hurry, didn't disengage. So I told him what someone here suggested I say. I can't remember the exact words, sorry, but I said something like, "I don't have anything for you though. Would you like to walk together and get a coffee? My treat."
Oh, even my treat. Genius.
He said he'd love to. He also said he's been wanting to ask me, but I always seem to be in a rush. I am never in a rush. I just get shy. Terminate the interaction so I can escape the uncomfortable, nervous feelings. This made me realize I was giving him a different impression than I intended. I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, they are abrupt out of social anxiety rather than out of dickishness.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it can come off like
It can come off as
not the way
dickishness.
they're intending. Yeah.
We walked to the coffee shop and I ordered my coffee and his coffee. Lol, he didn't let me pay. I tried to insist and he told me he only agreed to get me to come with him. He never intended to let me pay.
What a gentleman.
What a gentleman.
What a gentleman.
What a gentleman.
Truly.
We got our coffee and talked and walked. 2 hours went by.
Whoa.
Just yapping. Yapping for 2 hours.
Yapping and
nonstop.
sipping.
Beep, 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 beep. I was encouraged by the commenters to be direct, so I ended up telling him once I felt a bit more warmed up to the conversation that I think he's handsome. And that I've had a crush on him since I first saw him.
Oh, man.
His reaction, priceless. He got a little shy, I think, because he looked away briefly after I said it, only for a moment though, while saying, "Oh wow, you just made my week." He was smiling. Also, his ears turned a little red. Or maybe it was just the cold air, but I want to believe it was what I said. He told me he has somewhere to be this evening, but he would like to see me again. We
There we
decided
go.
on a day and time. Okay, so they're going on a full-on date.
Yeah, this is good. This is good.
We exchanged contact info and added each other on Instagram. We have been talking on the phone and texting ever since. Let's go.
Heating up.
Heat up. We decided on a museum date and dinner.
Classic.
My favorite first dates have been museum dates, or some of my favorites. When I was in high school, Blackman the
Dude.
Getty.
High school museum dates. This guy's on a different level.
Oh yeah.
He's a god.
You want to see some Rothko?
Do you want to see a McDonald's parking lot in Florida?
Hot.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Sounds ideal, really.
I did it right, boys.
When I got home, he texted me that he really likes me and is looking forward to getting to know me better. He said my shyness, adorable, and some other compliments followed. I was giddy. One of the biggest things I learned from the comments in my original post is that men love it when women make the first move and they love to be complimented / approach first.
Facts.
I love a good compliment.
Totally.
Please compliment me in the comments right now.
That's a dangerous request.
Oh God.
Let the games begin.
Mostly just wanted to share this update because something positive happened and I highly recommend this meet cute, MEAT, technique, especially to girls like me whose shyness can unintentionally come off as being closed off. Also, Redditors on the original post take credit for coming up with the term meet cute. It was not me. Edit, I haven't told him about the pepperoni tactic yet. I think it's best to save for the real date depending on how that goes. I'll tell him.
You get the meat cute thing? Like meat, like pepperoni meat.
No, break it down for me further.
Okay, so there's meat, which is MEET, and then MEAT as in like meat, and that's what she used to get the dog.
What is meat?
Okay, you know the thing Sophia refuses to eat?
There we go. Now I'm on board.
There it is. That's
now
what
I
that
got it. Thank you, Riley, for breaking that down.
Comments. Grim Tricks X says, I'm glad it worked out. Traditionally, for decades, the men had to do everything to court a woman. We don't normally receive compliments and are always told to man up and never cry and all that. I'm only 41. Old as fuck. No, okay. I'm only 41, but that's how it was when I was younger too. We have emotions of all kinds too. As a man, we absolutely love when a woman comes to us and is direct. If there's one thing we hate, it's women who try to drop hints. We will never get those hints.
Facts.
And on the off chance we do get a hint, it hits us 20 years later in the middle of the night. Well, good for you, and I hope it all works out. Yeah, I recently realized when women go like this and they go like this, they want you to hold their hand.
I guess that makes sense.
Right?
I learned that like 10 years later.
Same.
I could have been holding so many hands.
Dude, so many hands.
Endless hands.
Getting clammy.
Back-to-back hands. Getting
Sweaty.
dabbed up with fine ladies.
Dapping up those ladies. What's up, beautiful?
But alas, these hands,
dude,
have touched less ladies as a result.
Keep going.
Worded that way better.
Anyway, OP responds, that is so true, because when he said I always seemed in a rush, he basically was telling me it seemed like I was someone who would not be interested in being asked out. Maybe he even thought I had a boyfriend. All the while, this could not have been further from the truth. I thought I was giving hints. He didn't get any of them. And then finally, one last comment. Oh, from Last Nerve 12. Way to go. And you could do it. I asked my husband out first. You know how I did it? I looked his number up in the phone book.
Whoa.
Yes, I'm old. Called when I knew he was working and left a message asking him out for coffee. I was working the night shift in the ER the same night, and there he was. He was a corrections officer, and he was there with an inmate. But all I wanted to do was have him put me in handcuffs.
This story is interesting.
I made that up. When I saw him, I ran to the other section of the ER. I finally talked to him and told him I left a message. He asked what the message was, and I told him he'll find out when he got home. He told me he could find out now. I asked him not, but the son of a went and listened to the message again. He came and found me, leaned over and whispered in my ear, anytime I'll call you. Came back after work to bring me a coffee. We've been together ever since. I lost a little bit of the information on that story, but I'm getting it again. I was a little confused. Were you confused? I'm a little confused.
What here, you finish it, maybe give him the breakdown.
So you never know. This could be it for you. I'm so excited, and I don't even know you. Sorry, I'm such a sap. And OP responds, your story is what dreams are made of. I may actually tear up. Emotions this weekend are high. I do want to scale down my feelings a little, though, in case it doesn't work out. But so far, I'm really, really hopeful. I always wanted an organic encounter. Been so hard with dating app culture. This is the best thing to happen to me all year.
Wow.
That's a riggedy wrap, folks.
Well, that's all, folks.
And how did what was the synopsis of that last little story again?
The last story for the commenter? I honestly don't really know.
It's like she came by, she left a voicemail at his work, and then she came to his place of work.
She found him in the phone book.
Yep.
Left a voicemail asking him out for coffee. She told him that she left a message. He asked what the message was about. Then she was like, you just got to find out. He went and listened to the message and then said, anytime I'll call you.
Maybe that's when he brought the coffee to her and said, I'll call you anytime.
He didn't bring a coffee, I don't think.
Oh, he didn't.
Oh, no, he did. He came back after work to bring me a coffee.
And then
we've been
like,
together ever since.
It was like they were playing this cute game of like, oh, what do you want to do? You're going to have to listen to the voicemail. You know what I mean? A cute voicemail game.
Is voicemail like the equivalent of asking someone over text?
Maybe. Yeah.
I feel like it might be the equivalent of asking
that was the
over
OG.
text.
That was the OG
text
voicemail.
Because you don't have to deal with the rejection like straight to your face.
That's true.
You know, it's just like, I'm just going to leave a voicemail.
But also it's like kind of cute where it's like, I feel like you can make more of a
cuter than a text.
It's a lot cuter than a text. And you can, if you make like a cutesy little game out of a voicemail, that works. Text, not so much. Like read your text. It's like
the best way to ask someone out in person.
Yep.
Second best, FaceTime. Third best, phone call. Fourth best, voice audio message. Fifth best, text. Sixth best, or seventh best,
pigeon message.
Pigeon boy message. What do you think, Riley?
Yep. In person. And then I would say over the phone or text. I've done most of them over the text, but the success rate.
You've asked people out over text?
Yeah, that's how I got to go on my first date with my current girlfriend. It was over text.
What? Is that bad?
You didn't call her?
I
You
think
didn't ask her in
honestly
person?
most.
I confirmed with her, but it was over Instagram DMs, and I was like, pop, 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 pop. And then she's like, sounds great.
Not saying this is the right way, but I think the majority do come from text.
And then you
like, asking
confirm
someone
over
out.
the phone call later.
Boo.
I'm not saying I like the game. That's just how it's played.
I think it depends on where
I
you're
asked-
at with the person.
Yeah,
'Cause
because
if-
like she lived in Orange County. I'm not going to be like able to see her in a phone call this early. May scare someone.
Yeah, these
Oh.
kids these days.
Okay, well,
The phone
I think
calls.
you
Especially
should do.
FaceTime.
I think you should do a voice message at the very least.
But then our people voice message people.
But I
That's
think it's
true.
cuter. Like I don't think you voice message to like
I
communicate back
agree.
and forth.
Just at the beginning, they're like a little
Baby bird.
cute bunny, and it's like if I
True.
rush it, it'll go away.
One of our friends who went on like a 3-day crazy date, I believe, met her at a party, then sent an Instagram message, and then was like, "Do you want to go out on the Instagram message?"
Wasn't that the person that's like, let's fly to Europe or something? Or is that a different
Yeah,
person?
but like yeah, they didn't fly to Europe, but like Vegas.
So-
Might as well be Europe.
They
got an Eiffel Tower there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, dude. Class.
I think the best way is in person if you can.
Yeah.
If you can.
And also, like with OP, did OP make any wrong or a-hole moves in all of her transactions? I would say no.
No.
In fact, quite the opposite.
No. Is she the a-hole? She is not the a-hole.
Not at all. Maybe minus the she came off as abrupt, but that was just kind of like a
But she manipulated the dog.
Poor doggy.
And that
good.
dog never got a treat. Well, it did at the end, but it didn't get a treat for a couple days.
it got a treat after a few days. That to me, like, hey, you've been a good boy. Boom, treat. Taught him patience and delayed
Ooh.
gratification.
Yeah, and you can't give the treat on the first date, you know?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You gotta make them wait.
Save and make it special.
Gotta make them wait.
That's what I'm talking.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
gotta have that emotional connection before you get that treat.
That's true. That's true.
Gotta see where they come from, see their family.
Yeah,
Where they
then,
get that
then you
treat.
can eat the treat.
Well, boys,
You might even be able to eat back to back.
Hmm?
If you
you're
get one
lucky.
treat, maybe a couple minutes later, another treat,
Wow.
or like 30 to an hour.
Yep. Or like treat, bed, treat.
That's a good one.
That is a great move.
I'm like treat, talk.
No. You're like treat, avatar, roof treat, shower treat. That's you.
Shower treat. Shower treat's a great treat.
That's you, buddy.
Yeah, I love a shower treat.
What about you, John?
When do you like your treats?
When do you like your treats best?
see, I have much more. This is a much more personal doxing. This is a much more deeper personal doxing for me.
Oh yeah, we're just talking about
treats.
Dude, we're just talking about treats. Dog.
Oh, I know you're talking about treats. Trust me. Trust me. I'm eating what you're putting down. I'm licking the plate, dude. I'm licking
Yeah.
the hand that feeds me.
You must
Oh,
be a happy
man.
woman.
The lucky lady.
Yeah.
Speaking of treats,
You should subscribe because that's also a very good treat.
you should subscribe.
If you haven't subscribed, that's the treat that you can give yourself and us. So frickin' lap it up.
For your own good.
And you know what? Since you just subscribed, because you did, right? Good, you just subscribed. Here's a treat of another story. Let's get into it.
I refused to watch my family's high maintenance dogs, so they had to cancel their vacation. Not the a-hole, my parents. I like that they started off, they're like, I'm not the a-hole.
I'm innocent.
My parents, 82 male, 75 female, asked if I would help them book a much needed vacation. They also asked me to do the same for my brother, 43, and sister-in-law, 33, because they wanted to take a family vacation in September. My husband, 46, and I, 41 female, can't afford to go because I am currently out of a job. Even though this would be the first family vacation I will ever miss, and it made me really sad, I said I would of course help. My mom even mentioned to me that in a way it's good because I'd be able to watch my brother's pugs and my parents' chihuahua. That's so ouch to be like, well, it's good that you're not coming because you can watch our dogs.
Wow.
By the way, this comes from Dazzling P on the OK Storytime subreddit. Here's the thing about watching the dogs. It's a 24/7 job that requires me to stay at my brother's house. The dogs are wonderful, but very high maintenance. Because of this, I have been telling my brother for nearly 10 years that he needed to hire a dog sitter. Money isn't an issue for him. I've dog sat for them 3 times this past year, varying from 1 to 5 nights. They paid me very well. But I do not feel comfortable staying at their house, and I find the round-the-clock care exhausting. My husband and I have 5 cats, and we are no stranger to feeling like our pets are our children. But we don't have dogs for a reason. Now, I'm supposed to be booking this trip for my brother, but he hasn't even asked me about watching the dogs. Sunday at family dinner, everyone is there except my sister-in-law, who was ill. My brother was sitting across from me, so I reach out to hold his hand and say that I love him. I love his pugs, but I can't watch them when they go on vacation and that he needs to get a dog sitter. I said it was just too much to ask me to be trapped at their house for 7 nights, but that I have been asking him to hire a dog sitter for nearly a decade. I even offered suggestions and said I'll help to find someone. He starts to get reactive and said that they won't watch my cats anymore. I said that's fine. We have a cat sitter. But I point out that I asked them if they can help. They, on the other hand, didn't ask me. So it seems like they were just kind of expecting OP to watch the dogs.
It just seems crazy. Like, yeah, we're going to go on this vacation that you planned for us.
Yeah.
And you can watch our dogs.
And you can't come. And it's actually better that you're not coming.
Yeah. Lucky you.
Yeah.
What?
I think also when you have very, needy dogs or just needy animals in general, you have to be really on top of like, can you watch? Are you free these days? Are you available to watch these dogs? Like cats, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'm cat sitting right now, and my friend did ask like a month in advance and was like, hey, can you watch from these dates?
Or they asked you.
Yeah.
They didn't just expect you
They didn't just expect me to watch the cats. And the cats are so easy. I see them, I feed them, and it's like once a day thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole different story to this, which it seems like they're just, she needs to be there constantly.
Dogs, it's like a 3 to 4 times a day at least.
Yeah, no, I've also dogs. I had to one time, I had to dog sit 3 dogs, 2 which were giant labs who were really like, energetic, and then a little dog who peed everywhere and it was like super old, and I had to feed like 4 medications and a pig.
What?
Yeah, I had to all at the same time. Like a giant pig, and the pig gets really angry when you don't feed it in time, and so it starts screaming at you. Yes, yeah, so it's like running at you, and you're like, here, take the food. It was really intense, and I didn't actually get paid that much.
That hit me in a way I was not expecting. Continue.
Thank you. My brother finally concedes that it is a lot to ask 7 nights and 5 dogs. I also forgot that. Dogs. That's insane. Excuse me? Yes, 5 dogs, because his mother-in-law apparently was planning to go too.
Oh my, yeah, just add some more. Add some more people.
Fine. You're here. You're not going on vacation. Just take 5 dogs. So now added to the mix are 2 Italian greyhounds.
All right. It's Italian. It's fine. It's fine.
Like, draw the line at a pug.
Before I was a little worried. They're Italian greyhounds. It's fine.
I stay calm and gently point out that I felt this way before knowing there were 5 dogs. Can he imagine how I felt? He seemed to understand. By the time I left for dinner, there were hugs and kisses, and all was well. I knew my brother was upset, but he seemed to understand, and I was really proud of putting up boundaries. The next evening, I call my parents to see if they have heard from my brother. Apparently, he called them after he got home from my family dinner and was blindsided by me.
What?
He didn't even ask her yet. She just was proactive and was like, hey, I don't know if you wanted me to watch the dogs, but I can't. And he was like, she blindsided me.
I'm still hung up on OP planning the whole trip for everybody else. Is that not bothering? Like,
it is. It's weird. She's not even going on it. She's doing everything for them.
That's crazy. Keep going.
My sister-in-law was just as upset as him, too. They think I'm throwing a tantrum because I can't go on the vacation. While yes, that sucks, I told him my real issue is being trapped at their house for 7 nights. Now they're canceling the vacation because I won't watch the dogs. Am I the a-hole for telling them I won't do it? And there are some comments and an update. Oh boy. No, you're not the a-hole. You don't know them.
No.
I think it is different if you said yes, and then a day before you were like, actually, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Presumably, it seems like you're giving them enough time. They have yet to ask you officially. So, yeah.
It just means they don't value your time.
No, they think like, oh, we can just dump 5 dogs off
Yeah.
with you and she'll just do whatever we
They
want.
think their vacation time is more important than your life.
Yeah, your lifetime.
Your normal
Yeah.
lifetime.
No, I think people really don't, think about how much time and effort it takes to take care of animals.
Yeah, and like if something happened, like,
Yeah.
oh, you were in charge,
Yeah.
and now my greyhound is up the street, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
you
have
know?
to, and it's 5 dogs. It doesn't seem like OP has any dogs either.
Mm-mm, they got cats.
Yeah.
I think
They have cats. So it's also, that's a,
Mm-hmm.
you
You
know,
still got to take care of your cats.
are the dogs coming to her house or is she going to another person's house and sitting
Mhm.
there? In which case it's like, okay, now I need someone to look after my cats because I'm here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some comments that we can get into. Having Hope 3594 says, not the a-hole. They are grown people who had plenty of time to find arrangements for their dogs. Didn't they have somebody else to watch the dogs when you all travel together? Is this a weird ploy to punish you by making you feel guilty or something? Seems reactive. And OP says, the only time we have all traveled together was for my brother's wedding, which the dogs came to. This would be an international beach trip, which we haven't had in, I guess, over a decade. To be fair, he couldn't go on the last trip in 2015, and I went, but I only had one cat that had no special requirements at the time, so my roommate watched her. So I feel bad for him not being able to not go on the family vacation, although it feels self-induced to me at this point. But I am very emotional, and I can't tell if my judgment is clouded. Parsimonious Salad says, not the a-hole. They can hire a pet sitter. It's not your household to take responsibility for.
Yep.
And edit, I also don't understand why they needed your help to book it.
Yep.
But you're asking.
Parsimonious Salad. We're on the same
Gets
way.
it.
And also, like, if you can't afford a pet sitter to go on a vacation, you probably shouldn't be going on the vacation.
Yeah.
Right? If this
Yeah.
person is making a sacrifice, if OP is saying, you know what, I can't afford to go on this vacation right now because I am not in a position, then other people should feel the same way. You know? Crazy.
OP says, oops, I took that part out because I was way over the character limit. I can book like a travel agent and waive my commission so they can save a few $100. So OP's also saving them a bunch of money and they're complaining?
Unreal.
I realize how awful that sounds in context of this post, but it's easy for me to do. And as someone that loves to do things for others, but currently doesn't have the budget for it, it's something I'm happy to do. Ridiculous. They're taking advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Healer Haven says, so they get a discount by not paying you for your services and expect you to watch 5 dogs 24/7 and live apart from your spouse to do so? How much do they usually pay you for the normal 3? Because I bet it's not nearly as generous as they tell you it is. And OP responds, so this isn't a super common situation for us, despite what my harping on this for 10 years implies. I went over my character limit, so I couldn't add this bit of context. My brother set the precedent nearly 10 years ago that the dogs could never be alone at night because of separation anxiety. So when he was single and traveling for work, my mom had to stay the night there with the dogs. And since she lived closer than me and I had an office job, she would go back and forth to the house every 5 hours to let them out. Back then, I used to say that it wasn't fair to Mom and that he needed to hire a dog sitter. My mom loved it because the pug cuddles are amazing and they are good dogs, but I was still vocal that it was way too much to ask Mom. Last year, my husband and I bought a house a mile away from my brother, and the dog care has fallen to me because why would I make my mom continue to do that when it's easier for me? The first time I did it, I was extremely anxious, but I didn't complain because it was so my brother and sister-in-law could take a family vacation with their dying father. I had 4 dogs then, and it was $500 for 5 days. To be completely honest, I would not have accepted the money if I hadn't just lost my job. To me, that is what family is for. There was another couple times for 1 and then 3 nights due to a family emergency with my sister-in-law's family. So again, no problem. I've dropped by a couple times to let the dogs out back to potty when asked. And even recently, there was a day that neither my mom or I were available to let the pugs out when a situation came up. And I specifically told my brother he needed to have a trusted pet sitter on hand and hit them up before he needs them. But this is the first time that I feel like it's completely different and not right for them to ask me to do all of this. It feels like taking advantage, and it feels like when my mom had to stay there when my brother traveled all over again. And I'm not willing to put myself through it for a long vacation when this is exactly the scenario I've been harping on.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an update, but I think this actually gives a lot of context about the previous time she was watching it. It was all kind of emergencies happened, or it was very last minute things where they were like, I'm sorry, I just need someone to watch the dogs. But I think that when you have 5 dogs, or it seems 4 to 5 dogs, you should get a pet sitter, because you shouldn't be expecting people, especially not for free, to watch that many dogs.
I think the element of the planned vacation is a key factor.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, like I had this emergency, didn't have time to find a pet sitter. It's like, no, I'm about to drop a bunch of coin to go to a fun place that you planned.
Can't go to
that you
also,
can't go to because
you can't afford it.
Yeah. And maybe they're paying them.
I would hope so.
I think she doesn't want to have to take the money.
I think they should pay her because she can't go on the vacation because she can't afford it.
Yeah. But I think she's like, I don't want to have to do that much time.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't want it to be about the money, which I can respect.
Yeah, which I get because it's her family, but they're definitely, it seems like they're taking advantage of her. Miss Silvertier says if she took her commission, she'd be able to take a trip. It's Brittany Beach says, isn't it unfair on the dogs in this situation as well? It seems like she would be taking care of them a lot. Like, I think if she was doing it, they would be fine for the dogs. It's Brittany Beach, like being alone with separation anxiety, but have an owner who's rarely home. Yeah, no, it just seems very unfair for OP. And Kimberly Fine says the previous times were irregular. This shows an absolute lack of consideration. Yeah, exactly. But there is an update. Let's freaking get into it. 4 days later, my brother apologized, and we were having a very good and calm conversation. We were getting to a point where I was willing to make a compromise because I finally felt heard. Then my sister-in-law, who had an attitude the whole time, snappily said, okay, so what do we need to do to resolve this?
Ooh.
I don't like that energy.
Ooh.
I don't like it. Things started to get heated because I felt her tension and tried to acknowledge it. I said that I was really hurt by my sister-in-law's actions. I left it out of my OG post, but she was complaining about helping me clean my house before my wedding. I later found out that she told my dad that I had moldy dishes in the sink, and that was humiliating. Wait.
Why you gonna do that?
So she asked for your help.
Why
OP asked for her help to clean the house because she's probably going through a stressful time, and then she went and told everyone?
No, it's like
told the dad?
I do dishes. I was helping you clean, and I tell your mom that you have dirty dishes in your sink.
That's
for
so rude.
No reason other than just to expose you.
That's so rude.
Crazy.
Ugh. I don't like the sister-in-law. I said it hurt a lot when I learned she brought it up again as part of her argument why I should watch the dogs. What?
Keep going. I need to hear more.
She sarcastically said, oh, so I'm the villain? I said, I feel like from what I've gathered from my parents this past week that you think I'm sabotaging this vacation because I'm jealous that I can't go. And if you think that, you really must not know me, and that hurts. And she said with the same rude tone as earlier, I must not know you because that is 100% what I think. My eyes welled up because I felt like she had just sucker punched me. She looked at me here and said, here comes the temper tantrum.
Wow.
I stood up to leave, and then I turned around again and said over everyone yelling my name to calm down, if you, with all your time, money, and resources, decide to not go on vacation, that is your own decision and not because of me. I got the hell out of the house and sat in the car until my husband came out. By the way, you can join us live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just tap our profile.
Good move. I mean, what else are you going to do? I think they handled it as well as they could have.
I think OP handled that great.
Sister-in-law.
It is absolutely ridiculous to ask someone for something, which they don't know you. They don't know your time or anything. And then to berate them and bully them in front of people when they don't do that for you.
Crazy.
Belle Conkling says, ew, why the F did no one in her family defend her? Yeah, they were all telling her to calm down.
Great
question.
It
seems like everyone's kind of on the brother and the sister-in-law's side. They're like, oh, just do it.
Yeah, because they're going to go on vacation.
Yeah, it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. They're all expecting OP to, just because OP can't go on the vacation, that, oh, well, it's just a given that you should take care of our dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But OP, that's not cool. And then Stella Davis is telling OP to calm down, but not sister-in-law to shut up. And MJ Gross says they think she's a doormat. Kimberly Fine says she's awful. Anyone accusing an adult of having a tantrum or being childish can F all the way off. So belittling and dismissive. Yeah.
It's like, oh, your tone. Like your tone.
Your tone.
Yeah.
Ugh. But there's a little bit left to the story. She was in my wedding. I've been so happy to have her as my sister-in-law. I've been nothing but loving to her. Now I see she doesn't give an F about me. I'm gutted. It's clear that she has zero respect for me and probably never even liked me. I'm devastated because my family is everything. And I feel like my relationship with my brother will be forever altered. She is not the person I thought she was. And now I'm not only not watching the dogs, but I guess I'm also accepting that I don't have a sister like I thought.
Anytime there's like a little mini outburst like that, it's never like it's the first time the person's thought about it.
No.
It's never like they're like, oh.
It's like,
and I'm going to say this thing impulsively because now I feel it. It's like,
They've been
it's been
feeling
boiling
it for a while.
Beneath the surface.
Yeah. And she's just not a person.
It finally came out. And now OP knows that.
OP knows how she feels about her and knows that, that's not a person that you want to be around. That's not an energy. Yeah. But that is the end of that story. I stole my sister's cat and lied to her about it, but she was a horrible cat mother.
Meow.
Perfect. So for context, last year, this sister, 25, did aid in the catnapping of my 24 female baby boy, Cashew. No.
God, Cashew.
Which also led to the decline of his physical health.
No.
This is my sister, whom I have an order of protection against. She's not supposed to be less than 100 feet away from me until October 1st, 2025. There happened to be a period of time when Sister D was facing animal abuse charges for the second time. So she dropped her cats off with me against my will and through the dealings of my mom. But that's another story. She couldn't just move back in because for once, my mom took more pity on me than D. By the way, this comes from UB2000 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So when I found out that she had helped our youngest sister K, 17, take Cashew and held him from me for 3 months by taking advantage of me and using that as an excuse after taking him while I was at work and with the help of my mom, I was pissed. I would be too. She stole your cat.
Why are you taking the cat?
What?
It's not your cat.
And you can't even take care of it. When I found out that they had caused him to develop asthma and FIV to the point I have nearly lost him a few times, I was livid. My cats are my world. They are what keeps me fighting through the toughest times, and it physically pains me to see them struggling. I've gotten his health under control by making a few life and home changes and having him on a daily regimen to where he can now run to me when I catch him outside, but it's never taken away the anger I feel for D and K. I won't lie that initially when she dropped her cats off, I was planning on taking them partially out of revenge and partially out of concern for their well-being, but life happened and she came to collect them before I was able to move out of my mom's. When I say concern for their well-being, I mean it. The cat in question had such terrible lungs that when I got him to the vet said, to put it bluntly, they sound like crap. The way he's taking an air to compensate for all of the inflammation in his lungs, he won't live long without treatment.
No.
It's so sad. I got him the treatment, which involved an antibiotic shot, a steroid shot, and oral antibiotics that I gave him for 2 weeks. I also put him on the same regimen I have Cashew on, minus the fluticasone inhaler. Dee argued constantly over paying me the vet bill, which I thought was fair because she claimed he was still her cat and that she loved him. She then argued with me over whether or not he needed to go back to the vet when he had a severe asthma attack. Through text with Kay, as she was my only point of contact with Dee at the time, her response to the cat needing to go to the vet again was, how bad is he? If he's going to die, I want him to be with me in his last moments.
Oh my gosh. You
You
caused that.
You literally caused that. When I was told the cat had severe asthma, I informed Dee of what she would need to do. That included not using scented candles or air fresheners around the house, no perfumes or body sprays, switching to hypoallergenic laundry detergent as he likes to curl up in my clothes, no cigs, no vaping, crushing a lysine and putting it in his food, giving him fish oil every day, putting bee pollen in his food, helps reduce allergic reactions during pollen seasons, switching to 99.9% dust-free litter, using an enzyme cleaner to deep clean the litter box, reduces the ammonia smell, getting a spacer, and getting his inhalers. I have even sent our other sister L, 18, the links to the lysine, the electric pill grinder, the spacer, the bee pollen, and the coupons for his albuterol, and fluticasone inhalers. D never even purchased this.
I was about
of course
to
she wasn't.
say.
Yeah, of course she's not.
That is
Like she caused all of these problems that he's having, and
Yeah.
she's not going to take care of them now that he has them.
Yeah, that is an extreme list that OP is willing and wants to. I mean, OP has them.
Yeah.
So OP should just
steal
have
him.
the cat.
Just steal this cat. After some time, I visited their home as all 3 sisters lived together. When Dee was at work, I noticed heavily scented laundry detergent, scented candles, air fresheners, and the distinct odor of cat pee from her 2 cats and Elle's 3 cats, as well as caca from their dogs. Nothing that suggested she had listened to my words was present in the home. These were all changes I made, which wasn't easy because hypoallergenic laundry detergent is an adjustment, and no body sprays or candles was also tough for me. So I knew it could be done. She just refuses to make the changes. I think this was truly the moment that I decided this cat was not going back with her no matter what. You see, this cat is the brother of one of my cats. Before we had to put their mother down, I promised her I would protect her babies. I couldn't do that if I gave him back. Out of the 4 cats she had, she got 2 moved back with her. One of them genuinely ran off, and I was able to convince her that this cat ran off as well. Not to brag, but some of my cats also get outside through the window D broke. But every one of them always comes back. Every time K or L come over, I hid him in his carrier in my room. This worked for months until D made a surprise appearance. Yes, I could have called the cops because she was less than 100 feet away, but 1, I panicked at the thought of her taking him, and 2, I'm moving out soon, and my mom following through on her threat to evict me for causing problems for D would delay that even more and cause problems for my cats and myself. With quick thinking, I managed to convince her that this cat was not her cat, but possibly the son of her cat. I was telling her he was too small, had different fur patterns, didn't respond to his name. I managed this by saying random names in the pitch I typically use with him, so he would respond no matter what I said, etc. Surprisingly, Elle was helping by pointing out ways that this definitely wasn't Dee's cat, and eventually Kay was convinced too. Dee and Elle have been here all week. Again, it's just much easier to go along with this until they return to their home in the next couple of days. Truthfully, I have requested the restraining order instead of jail time at our court hearing because I just wanted to be able to build my life back up without fear. And I have been able to do that for the past year. Knowing how not serious my bio family has taken everything, getting the year was more than I could have hoped for. The whole time they have been here, this cat has been attached to me. Everywhere I go, he goes. He sleeps next to me every night. He cuddles with me when I try to rest. Aw. He knows she's here, but he stays with me. When I got Cashew back, he never wanted to leave my side for the first few weeks. He had been gone for almost 4 months, but he clung to me the second he saw me. This cat has been separated from her for less than that. He's my little cuddle buddy, my little furry friend. He goes on car rides with me to run errands for my mom. This is so sweet. He comes with me to take the trash down. He's by my side no matter what I'm doing, and hugging is one of his favorite things to do. Even as I type this, he's right next to me sleeping. By the way, one of our favorite things is when you guys join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube. Just tap our profile.
Tap it.
And there is a little bit left, but OP, you're not the a-hole at all for protecting a living creature who is being mistreated.
Yeah, it's pretty much like animal abuse.
It is, absolutely.
And the fact that they don't care.
They just don't care.
I just want the cat.
Yeah. They literally
It's my
don't care.
cat.
You
She'll
are
be
in the
fine.
right. You are in the right, for sure.
No. And good on the sisters like agreeing with you, like, oh, that's
I
not
wonder
the
if,
cat.
I actually kind of wonder if they, when OP said that, like they agreed, I think maybe they were also kind of duped.
Maybe one of them was.
Yeah,
maybe
one of them was like, oh, yes, it is that cat, of course. This is not the same cat.
Yeah.
And the other one was like, yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, that doesn't look like Cashew.
Here's where my morals cause problems for me. I know what it's like to lose a cat both temporarily and permanently. I know what it's like to not know what happened to your cat. The pain for me with these experiences is tremendous, but I don't know if it's truly the same for her. I also know the relief of finding out your cat is actually alive after fearing the worst for so long, and I took that from her. I did intend to keep him initially out of revenge, since Cashew's diagnosis is all I saw with D and K was red. I can't tell if I'm clouded by wanting to make both of them pay. My gut is telling me to keep him and pull off this gas lamping as far as I can take it, but I still feel icky about causing the same pain I've felt for someone else. I still don't want to give him back, no matter how bad my guilt gets. I know I'm being selfish, but I'm as attached to him as he is to me. Does that make me an a-hole, even if it's justified? And that is the end. I don't think you're the a-hole.
I don't think so, especially since there's already so many pets at that other house.
They've got so many pets. They're not going to miss him.
They got 3 cats. They got 2 dogs. This cat.
Try and get all of the other pets too.
This cat has its own issues and needs to be looked after and taken care of solely. So,
Absolutely.
no.
But that's the end of that story.
My boyfriend hates my dog. He told me to get rid of him.
Sounds like someone I know.
I'll try to keep this short, but I think it will end up longer than I expect. I live in a house with one roommate, 23 female, who is also my best friend. Over the summer, 2 things happened.
Uh-oh.
And by the way, this comes from user dogthrowaway91. And if you want to submit your stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. One of my family's 2 dogs became very ill, and my stepfather walked out on our family 2 days before my half-brother, 16 male, birthday.
Wow.
Needless to say, things got hectic, and I moved back in with my family for a couple months to help take care of the dog and try to provide some stability for my brother. Sick dog had to be put to sleep, which was really hard. My mother also had to find a new place, and she could not afford the old house on her salary alone. She finds the perfect house, but the landlord did not allow pets. My landlord does, however, and after clearing it with my roommate, I decided to bring Galahad, 7 male, home with me.
Aww.
I've always loved Galahad, but since he's, quote, moved in, we're pretty much inseparable. Nothing makes me smile like this little dog. Roommates adore him, and we often joke that he is our child. My friends love him too, and he is very cute and tends to charm everyone. Everyone except my boyfriend, it seems. Boyfriend was never very keen on Galahad. I guess cordial is the best word for it, if you can apply that to a relationship with a dog. I always assumed it was because he's a cat person. 2 cats at his place.
Oh, there it is.
This never really bothered me until last weekend. I'm planning on going to a dog Halloween party hosted by the Humane Society. The roommate is going to this party as well, and we are dressing up as medieval maidens, and Galahad is going to be a knight. I was excitedly telling my boyfriend about these plans and showing him our costumes when he freaks out. He said Galahad shouldn't be around other dogs or even strange humans because of his behavioral problems. I was surprised, because Galahad gets along great with dogs and people and has never shown aggressive behavior. Boyfriend ranted for a while, but here's a condensed version. When Galahad wants attention, like to be in someone's lap or get pets, he'll lick your foot or leg, almost always just once.
John, we're going to get back to the story, but you're old.
You're as old as me now, pal.
I might be as old as you, but I feel like you have oodles more wisdom.
I've got some wisdom in this old noggin.
You got a piece of wisdom for me right now?
Always respect your
And I think the other piece of wisdom that I've learned from John is join OK Storytime memberships.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Get it now while I'm still alive.
Now back to the story.
I don't mind this, but I realize not everyone feels the same. When guests are over, I try to distract and redirect him from this, but I let my guests know it's okay to tell him no. When he hears no, he will not repeat the behavior. When someone he does not know enters the house, Galahad will bark a couple of times. This is not an aggressive bark, it's more like an attention bark. The only other times that he barks is when he needs to go outside or when he sees me grab the treat bag.
So Galahad and I are like the same person.
So Galahad sleeps on my bed on a special blanket. Boyfriend does not like this, so when he's over for the night, I put Galahad in his crate in my room. One night, boyfriend insisted that the crate be placed in another room. All right, this guy just sucks. Can we just make it clear?
Dude, bro's so
the boyfriend
jealous.
actually, the boyfriend sucks.
How can a dude be jealous of a dog?
I complied, but Galahad hated this and cried for about 30 minutes until I brought him back into my room. He went to sleep normally then and slept quietly the rest of the night. Galahad likes to be watched while he eats. This started when the other dog was put down, and I noticed Galahad lost a lot of weight and ate very little. I had to coax and encourage him to eat, which eventually turned into me sitting at the table next to his bowl with him for about 15 minutes while he eats. Boyfriend lists all of these as problems, including that I'm too obsessed with Galahad, and ending with, he thinks I need to send Galahad back to live with my family. I explain to him why that is not an option. He said he didn't want to come to my house anymore while Galahad is still here. I asked him if that was an ultimatum, and he told me, take it how I wished. This guy sucks. This week, Our communication has been the bare minimum, and boyfriend still seems very upset with me. Roommate is furious about it. I just want to smooth things over. Should I take Galahad to a dog training class? Train him to do what?
To be a knight.
I don't have the money for a personal dog trainer, and I think Galahad is just being a normal dachshund for the most part. Am I in the wrong? And it's a dachshund? He's hating on the dachshund? Update number 1. I've been asked to update, so here it is. I want to thank everyone who took the time to respond. I got a couple questions asking if I was minimizing Galahad's behavior, and I think I was. Mainly the barking thing. Galahad only barks a couple times at people entering the house, but he is loud. It can be startling to people who aren't familiar with him. Also, the wanting to be watched while eating. I think I downplayed it because I managed to work it into my routine easily, and I have a lot of guilt over him dropping so much weight. This isn't normal behavior, though, and needs to be corrected. With all of this in mind, I decided Galahad should be enrolled in a dog training class, and hopefully I could address his other behaviors with a professional. I plan to tell this to boyfriend on Halloween, and hopefully it would all work out. Well, it didn't. I texted boyfriend Halloween morning that I wanted to come to his place and talk before or after the Humane Society Halloween party. He didn't respond, so me, roommate, and Galahad got costumed up and went to the party. It was a blast, and I could tell Galahad enjoyed some canine company. On the way back to the house, boyfriend calls me and asks me to come over so we can talk. I tell him I have to drop off roommate and Galahad first, then I would be right over. He just hangs up.
What?
I get to his apartment, and I can tell he's pissed. He asks why I haven't gotten rid of Galahad. I tell him I'm not getting rid of my dog, and I tell him about taking him to classes. Boyfriend says that's not good enough. We fight for a while. Neither of us would bend. We ended up breaking up. I get back home, and roommate can tell I've been crying, so we spend the night watching Bill and Ted, drinking wine, and calling ex-boyfriend a medieval wienerhead. I'm lucky to have such a great friend.
Righteous!
All right, so we've done it. We
freaking did it, guys.
We're at the finish line. This is good.
Yeah, this is weird. I feel if this would continue, he would want to control other things rather than the presence of your dog in your life.
Update number 2. I'm pretty sure this is going to be my last update on this subject unless something crazy happens. Thanks for all the support in my previous posts. So, last Saturday, I got a surprise visit from X. I asked roommate to watch Galahad in another room while I talked to X. He actually showed up with a box of dog treats. They were for large dogs, so they were way too big for Galahad, but it was a really sweet gesture.
Do not feed those dog treats to the dog.
We chit-chat about various things for a couple minutes, then X apologizes, says he misses me, and that he wants me back. As much as I've played tough in my posts, I really love this guy, and breaking up has been hard. We started to talk about how we could make it work. He proposed that we could hang out at his apartment, and if he came over to my house, Galahad would be put in a different room than us. No,
so
still no.
The issue is still about Galahad.
What? Like,
yeah, this is.
I need a clear-cut reason why you literally cannot stand my dog.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
The only thing I could be like, I'll give him it is if he's allergic. That's it.
You're right, but no indication of that.
But he's not.
I told him I needed time to think and that I wasn't ready to jump back into official status yet, and his demeanor completely changed. He got quiet for a second and then said, "What the F?" His voice got angry, not sure if I would say raised, and then he went on about how I should just accept his apology, that he was doing everything to make this relationship work, and I was purposefully sabotaging it. I could feel tears welling up, and he said, "And now you're gonna effing cry." Hey, what a bunch of great evidence right there as to why you shouldn't be dating this guy.
So you have your first fight, and this is how he fights you?
The roommate walked into the room from the living room to the kitchen and went to get something from the fridge. X then took this as his cue and got up and left without saying anything else to me. By the way, we're going to say a whole bunch of more stuff to you when you listen to full episodes with stories like this. All you have to do is go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts, right? And search OK Storytime. So, to pull a Taylor Swift, we are never, ever, ever getting back together.
I don't like OP now. OP, you
Fight
are
him,
the
chat.
a-hole.
Fight him, chat.
OP, Go
Just
Bills.
kidding. Just kidding.
Since then, I've blocked him on all social media except Instagram, where I've been posting pictures of Galahad. It's petty, but it makes me feel better. In other news, I've been training Galahad to eat by himself.
Sorry, one second. Can you see if you can find pictures of Galahad? Thank you. Okay.
Ooh. Mixed success so far, but slow and steady wins the race. And that is the end of that story. My sister gave away my cat, so I pretend she's not there whenever she visits.
That's a fair response.
January marks 5 years since this happened, but it still feels like a week ago. It all started with my older sister bringing home a cat. It was 2018, and this was the third cat she's brought home in a 6-year span. The last two weren't with us anymore because the first passed from getting hit by a car, and the second one, quote unquote, ran away.
Oh.
More on that later. By the way, this comes from user Spare Asparagus 7298, and if you want to submit your stories, go ahead and do it on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, she was getting over a breakup with her longtime boyfriend of 4 to 5 years and decided she wanted a pet cat. I was hesitant at first with getting attached, given our previous history with cats and other pets, and because how much our mom has always voiced us not to bring animals home because she doesn't like them, especially cats. But she coaxed me into the co-parenting situation for this kitten, and that I'd be his owner as well. With that, I agreed and figured since I was 16, I was older from when we had the previous cats, so should anything go wrong, I could intervene financially and support it with allowance money.
That's sweet.
Me and the kitten, Tyga, were inseparable. Anywhere I went around the house, he'd be right by my side. Whenever I went to sleep, he'd climb right into my bed and sleep with me every single night. If he was even locked out of the room, he'd scratch at my door and meow loudly, demanding I open it, and would immediately purr when I did. If I was cooking in my kitchen, he'd be watching me from the kitchen chairs, and when I came back from school, he'd come and greet me at my front door. He was absolutely everything to me, especially when I was going through a lot during that specific time period, and school was the last place I wanted to go. Seeing him was honestly the highlight of my day. Even to this day, I don't think there's been a sentient being I've ever loved more than Tyga. This cat's getting stolen, people. All right, I will refer us back to the title. All right, there are shenanigans are afoot with these cats. So if you cannot listen to a story where like this cat is being taken or where potential health hazards to the cat are incoming, if you cannot handle a story with potential animal passings and such, probably this is your warning. During late 2019, however, he was a full-grown cat and would go in heat and was starting to get destructive because he wanted to go outside and was spraying around the house. It's because of this my sister grew tired of him and would constantly voice how she doesn't want him anymore and that she wants to give him away for money. She would also jump on my mom voicing her grievances about having a cat she didn't ask for around the house as more of a reason to give him away. Anytime she'd say that, I obviously got upset and told her that she needed to get him neutered. Part of the agreement we had when co-parenting him was that I would be responsible for feeding him, buying the food, and watching him when she was gone, which was practically all the time, while she would cover buying and cleaning his litter box and anything else he needed. Now he needed to be neutered, but she didn't feel compelled to, since she no longer wanted him. She would give excuses like, I have work that day, or I don't have a car to drive to take him. Meanwhile, she was very comfortable taking mom's car whenever she needed to run her own errands. Eventually, I was fed up with her constantly saying how she wants to rehome him, so I straight up told her, if you do anything to this cat, you might as well find me a new home as well, because I will never talk to you ever again, and I will never recover from this.
Why didn't OP, if the issue was that they weren't yet neutered and there was a threat that I might get rid of him or her because of it, why didn't OP just get them?
They're young, 16, 17, so they're still at that age where it's like,
they didn't know.
I don't know if you can legally bring an animal in as a minor somewhere and like have it taken care of, honestly. I think it's always tricky when you're under the age of 18 to do anything like that.
Sure. But if the sister can, it seems like OP can.
I think the sister's older, though.
Possibly.
However, my sister just brushed what I was saying off as childish banter and refuted by saying he's going to be taken care of in a new home and you're not going anywhere. Basically saying life was going to keep going and dismissing me. I tried to say something back, but she wasn't listening because she was getting ready to go to the club.
To the club.
On January 2020, my relatives invited me to come on a cruise with them, but I was hesitant on going because of my last haunting conversation with my sister. But since the cruise was only 3 days, I figured nothing would happen in such a short period of time. So I went. Trigger warning. Trigger warning is here, folks.
No.
Tyga didn't come
Shut
and
up.
greet me like he usually
All right, next
did.
Next story.
I frantically looked around the house, but I couldn't find him. When I asked my parents, they said they saw him a day prior and that he might have escaped. I asked my sister, and she said the same thing. Fair enough. It's not the first time he's escaped. I gave it 3 days until I started to fully panic, and to my anxiety, 3 days passed, and still no Tyga. At this point, I was devastated and didn't know what to do. My grades started slipping, and I was very dejected in school, barely talking to my friends, and my teachers were taking notice of my then current state. I'd be holding back tears in the middle of class because of how much it was destroying me inside that I didn't know where Tyga went. My school friends promised to keep an eye out for him and would send me pictures of cats they've seen around their neighborhoods, which eased my mind that he had people from different neighborhoods keeping an eye out for him, in addition to me doing everything I could to lure him back home. So I eventually put his disappearance in the back burner for my own sanity at that point. We gotta hold out hope. Tyga's gonna re-enter the picture here, okay?
Mm-hmm. He's coming back.
I need hope.
He's on his way back right now.
I need hope.
It's happening.
That Tyga's coming back. It was routine for me to wake up and check if any of his food that I'd left in the backyard was eaten, along with leaving his litter box and my clothes with my scent on it, and looking for him during my walks to and from school. Eventually, the pandemic hit, so I wasn't able to go outside much, but I still left my stuff outside in hopes that he'd somehow be lured home. During all of this, my sister got with a new man, and the next thing I knew, she brought home a baby French bulldog. And surprise, surprise, she left me in charge of taking care of him while she was gone.
One of the dogs I'm dog sitting right now is a French bulldog. He's a freaking menace. He's just a menace. And he's always making wild noises like he's an alien. Like he'll just be licking his paw and like visually it's so calm. He's like, and then the sound of it is like,
yeah, they got those smushed out faces.
I'm like, what? How does that even come out of your mouth?
They're talented. The French bulldogs.
The French are talented.
The French are talented. I was very confused as to why she'd bring home a puppy when Tyga was still missing. It felt like the efforts to find Tyga were very one-sided. In the end, even her owning the puppy didn't last long because she bought the puppy from a store. It ended up not being taken care of properly and passing away. One day in particular, however, I was extremely depressed because it was around 4 to 5 months since I'd last seen Tyga, and all the what-ifs were hitting me. My sister saw the state I was in, and when I explained, she said, "I have hope he's still out there. He's a strong cat."
Yo, if she's lying,
Lord, give me strength.
If she's lying,
Lord,
and says
give me strength.
It's gonna be wild.
So I used that as hope to not give up, and that he truly was out there, probably just fathering cats or something. August 2020, still no Tyga, but I had discovered the Neighbors app and instantly put in a missing cat ad for Tyga on top of doubling down and putting paper ones around my neighborhood. The views on the ad gained 10,000 views and had a lot of replies, one of which someone said they've seen a cat that looked exactly like him.
Oh, okay. We have hope.
Ecstatically, I went to my mom, hopeful that my search might actually be over, but immediately she shot it down and said, quote, "I thought your sister gave away that cat."
John, we're going to get back to the story, but you're old.
You're as old as me now, pal.
I might be as old as you, but I feel like you have oodles more wisdom.
I've got some wisdom in this old noggin.
You got a piece of wisdom for me right now?
Always respect you.
And I think the other piece of wisdom that I've learned from John is join OK Storytime memberships.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
And it's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Get it now while I'm still alive.
Now back to the story.
It was in that moment that I had my first derealization episode. But what snapped me back was what my sister said with how, quote, she has hopes he's still out there. So I immediately messaged her saying someone might have found Tyga, but that mom wasn't letting me go and that I needed her to come with. But she immediately shut it down, saying, I'm not for this. He was destructive when he was living with us, and I'm not willing to let all that back into my life.
She's still lying. She's still lying. thing that
I would never endorse violence.
Jesus.
I would never endorse that. I would not endorse that.
The worst part was her saying, there's still like the fake encouraging of like, she could still be out there. And then you freaking gave it away. Yeah, she instantly be gone to me. You got to do the you're dead to me look.
I was defeated. It was like everyone was against me finding closure and happiness, especially for all the agonizing months I went without Tyga. And then my mom made everything worse by doubling down, asking me if I'm sure because she was almost certain that my sister got rid of the cat. What started off with uncontrollable streams of tears flowing down my face ended up with me having a 7-hour-long mental breakdown so loud that all my surrounding neighbors were knocking at the front door and asking if everything was okay and contemplating on calling the police. But I didn't care. The police wouldn't have done anything. You needed to call Ghostbusters because your family are ghouls.
Poor girl, dude.
Your family are creatures from the Black Lagoon. Your family is a bunch of cryptids walking around pretending to be human beings. They're demons.
Also, the mother just forgot about the original lie and was like, oh, I thought your sister gave that away.
I felt like the worst owner in the world that I let yet another cat, one so precious to me, meet the same fate as my last two. The thing with the last two is I never found out the truth about what actually happened to them until many years later. I was told that they ran away, but that was a lie. The second cat I mentioned earlier was released at a park by no one other than my sister. And I never found that out until years after the fact.
Same thing.
I didn't want to fathom about what actually happened to Tyga that day, whether she actually did rehome him or release him somewhere. I was at the point that if I found out the truth, it'd break me to damages beyond repair. Regardless, I lost everything in that moment, and at that day forward, I harbored an immeasurable amount of resentment for my sister. I wasn't able to leave my room for a week straight. I spent most of the days sleeping in. I didn't even leave to eat or use the bathroom. I didn't even bother opening the curtains. I didn't think I deserved it because I let something like this happen again. I'm going to say I thought I deserved it because I let something like this happen again. On one of the days I was in my room, wallowing in my own despair, I overheard my sister talking to my brother in his room, and she asked where I was. He was shocked about how she didn't know about the mental breakdown I had, go figure, she's never home, and explained that I found out and how I never left my room since. I heard footsteps coming to my room and the doorknob twist, and her just slipping in a small, disingenuous sorry.
No, that's even worse than just saying nothing.
It was at that moment where all the immeasurable anger I had was summoned all at once, not to mention all the other childhood traumas she had caused that I won't get into, but the Tyga situation was the nail to the coffin of it all, and I was practically screaming at her that she was a whole liar and that she's a sadistic person who gets off seeing their younger sibling in such despair, and that I truly, sincerely hated her with every fiber of my being, that I was cursed to have a sister like her in my life, and that she truly was the worst sister to ever walk this planet.
Damn, dude. She took lessons in verbal in Dakota-ness.
She got off easy, dude. And she still got off easy. Crazy.
Dude, she's been watching the stream. She's been listening to you.
During it all, she still tried to make excuses for herself, arguing that he was spraying around the house and she couldn't take it. But I instantly shut her up by saying it's because she refused to get him neutered. She tried offering me a present since I had graduated from high school around that time, but I immediately told her to get out and that I'm not accepting it.
I wonder what the present was.
Yeah, probably something worth $5 that she thoughtlessly picked up out of a bargain bin.
She got her a cupcake. She's like, I got your cupcake.
Yeah. In the end, she moved out in 2021, which further angered me because her whole reasoning for giving him away was because he'd be in her living space, yet she was leaving soon anyway. Regardless, I still saw her every other month, even to this day, because she visits often. But when she does come by, I leave my house for the duration she's around because being around her, even just being under the same roof as her, is very triggering, and all my anger just resurfaces. All of my family members have and still view this whole thing as ridiculous, especially since it was over a cat, even going to lengths to make excuses for her, and that being family prevails all.
The same.
Would they say the same thing if it was a dog? Would they say the same thing if it was I don't know, literally any, like what?
It's the same BS of that sentiment. Sorry, I have a date in my mouth. Of like family above everything, family above your pain, family above your needs not being met.
Family above everything, except if it's you. If it's you, we literally don't care about what you want or what you need or the fact that you have this this animal, this cat that you love. We don't care because it's about you.
Family
even
above
though your family, we don't care.
Family above anything, including you. Not as part of that family.
There have been times they've guilted me for holding this grudge for so long because I don't know what could happen to her and that I'm going to regret cutting off my own sister from my life, but I don't care. I want nothing to do with her, and neither do I. I feel like you're in the right, OP. I don't even want to see her or hear her voice ever again, as harsh as that might sound. All she had to do was leave me and Tyga alone, and she couldn't even do that. Not even for her own younger siblings' sanity. Even when I told her this would happen, despite this all happening 5 years ago, the pain is still deep and it feels like it happened a week ago. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories that are not this emotionally crushing for animal lovers.
Sometimes.
Because we really don't have a lot of stories like that are this, we have just
we have bad stuff.
If you want to listen to full episodes with more stories, all right, go to Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. There is some more relevant story here.
The only way that there could ever be forgiveness if the sister like truly acknowledged the pain of like giving someone's loved pets away, and truly, like from the bottom of her heart, with like showing how much she understood how painful that was, her action caused, to like from the bottom of her heart to be like, I'm so sorry, and like ongoing. That's the only way there could possibly be any forgiveness. But before that, there should be no expectation of OP to do anything with the sister or have any amount of forgiveness. It is totally OP's sister's responsibility to take responsibility and accountability for her awful actions. Before that, it's out of OP's court completely.
It would take decades for me to move past that.
You cat guy?
It would take decades, and no, I mean, yeah, I'm a cat guy, but regardless if it's like an animal that's my pet that I love,
someone
that loves me, that I have a bond with,
yeah,
and you're going to just disappear my animal.
Yeah,
we would have to be completely different people in completely different lives, and I mean, it's like people become different people as they get older. You know, it's like I'm not the same person I was 12 years ago, but it would take that amount of time to go by before I could ever become even close to cordial with this creature that is my sister. And even still, if we get back to cordial, okay, that's all it's going to be. I'm not going to hold any love for you. I'm not going to go out of my way to help you. I'm just going to tolerate you. That's all. You're done forever. But let's finish this story. Since then, I've sought professional help and have been fairly recently diagnosed with CPTSD due to these events.
Poor OP.
What is C?
Complex
PTSD. Okay.
Complex PTSD.
So there's times where I don't even feel that therapy is working because I just miss Tyga that much.
Poor OP.
All I'm told is to work on forgiveness for myself and not for her, but even that is hard. Now I'm the same age as her when she bought Tyga home that day, 22. And I truly can't picture me doing that to someone. All of these are permanent things that she can't erase or take back now, which honestly furthers my resentment for her. Every single ounce of this was avoidable, but she still did it, which is bigger than any middle finger to my face, honestly. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister how much I despise her and pretending she doesn't exist? Nope. Not the a-hole at all.
If you want more stories like this, search for our podcast, OK Storytime, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
My wife is a pet hoarder. She got CPS called on us because of it. I'm gonna go on a limb and say OP, who is the husband, not the a-hole.
I am going to say that OP is the a-hole, and this is hard mode, and I have to defend OP.
It's 6 a.m. and the roosters have been crowing nonstop for the last 2 hours in our sunroom adjacent to our bedroom. I'm now sitting in the basement as flies swarm around me, and I've given up swatting them because there's too many to bother. By the way, this comes from user not animal person on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, the basement is the area of the house with the least amount of flies. On top of the rooster noise is the cackle of male quail that reside in our living room. They live in the base of 3 cages that are filled with budgies and cockatiel. And budgies, that's Australian for parrot or parakeets. When I wake up, I remember to put on my slippers and I hope I get to them before stepping in dog urine or fresh dog crap. Our carpet in our master bedroom is saturated with dog urine with many spots that haven't dried out yet. Yesterday, my wife bought our daughter a new tortoise and a frog. The tortoise will be added to the aquarium with our bearded dragon. The bearded dragon, which is often free to roam the house because my wife feels like it will be happier. It is free to poop on our furniture or floor or where it was left last. As I sit here in my basement, the one place where I do not allow any pets, I'm listening to a rabbit thumping its paws on the floor above me, or it's the sound of it biting and ripping apart our wall or furniture. I'm not sure which noise it is, but I really don't care anymore. We have at least 6 rabbits. Their little claws make a loud scraping and tapping noise as they scurry and hop across our laminate floors. The main level of our home is littered in rabbit droppings. The droppings get pushed to the side as our 4 children and us inadvertently kick them around while walking through the main level of our home. The dogs won't likely get let out this morning to go to the bathroom. The smaller dog doesn't even obey the command to go out anymore. He just stares at you confused by your directive. If he does go outside, he just comes back in to find a place to crap and pee in one of our bedrooms. Our backyard doesn't have much dog crap because it's mostly in our bedrooms. It will stay there for days on end because there's no expectation that it shouldn't be there. The new smell from the giant rug I bought for the basement has worn off. It smelled like glue and dye, and it drowned out the odors from the dozen chicken that reside in our family and living room. They live in a couple 36-inch fabric pop-up enclosures filled with pine shavings. It is saturated with chicken crap and urine and has soaked into our oak hardwood floors, permanently damaging them. The stench is eye-watering. We have a lot of feathered friends here. In our master bedroom, there are 3 more cages with a variety of exotic birds that sing loudly all day long and leave a permanent mess of seeds on the floor around the cages. They are free to roam, and so our room has droppings along our bed's headboard, on our pillows, along the sides of the doors where they perch, in our bathroom mirrors, and down our shower curtains. Our sunroom has 30-plus chickens, and about 8 or 10 of them are roosters, and the roosters crow all day. This is where the flies breed. They come in through the 40-year-old sliding door that is often left open. This door separates the sunroom from our living area and our kitchen. The flies swarm in at any given time. There are dozens of flies in our living space. The heat and humidity bake the sunroom floor, which is covered in chicken crap and urine, and the odor spreads through the house. Do you have anything to say, Riley?
He's just not cleaning. Like, yeah, there are a lot of animals, but you need to take initiative.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Our house is in a suburban neighborhood. We do not live on a farm. In addition to these animals, we have 2 pet rats. They are sweet, but as you would expect, their cage is not well maintained and it stinks 90% of the time. Our boys' room has a snake and axolotl aquarium. One of our daughters has an algae-covered fish aquarium that we fill with water whenever we hear the filter screech because the water has evaporated too low. She also has an unkept cage with a hamster that is rarely played with. This is really hard to be on hard mode right now for this story, guys.
You picked your side. You won.
We have to pick this side. Right now, I'm listening to the mice eat through the foam board insulation in my basement. I want to get rid of them, but it's challenging with all the access to feed throughout the house. They seem to be breeding and entering through the home and at a faster pace than they can be exterminated. So 2 rats are now an unknown number of rats. And again, OP is just busy with work. I am not a pet person, and this life is driving me nuts. My wife is a pet hoarder and has ADHD. Our backyard backyard is a ghost town full of quail cages from last year when she was really into quail breeding, and we had over 150 living in our backyard. Now there remains broken and half-built cages and mounds of shavings and wood chips that she intended to use as bedding. Scattered in random places in our backyard are household garbage bags of chicken crap. When you try to lift them, they fall apart because they weigh 30 to 40 pounds and the bags have deteriorated from the sun. When challenged, she seems to delight in the frustration it causes me because she is not happy in our marriage. It seems that accumulating animals is bringing her little bits of dopamine with each acquisition. I'm tired of living like this and I don't know what to do. Our children think this behavior is acceptable and they often chide at me for not being on board with the animals. They say I'm not a pet person. It's true that I'm actually not a pet person. But what we have going on here is irresponsible, unsanitary, and illegal. This is pet cruelty and normalizing neglect of animals. And we have an edit. And yeah, everything OP just said right there is 100% accurate.
Yep, you are neglecting animals.
No! His wife keeps confiscating animals from the world and neglects them. People think this is a fake post, but it's real. I'm not uploading pics for privacy, but it's genuine. Yeah. I wrote it in this style just to express everything because it's distressing and aggravating, and I haven't expressed it to anyone. See, OP is just an artist. OP is expressing himself via prose.
Yeah.
Which, do you even know what prose is?
Go ahead.
That's what I thought.
Go ahead, explain it.
No,
I know what it is. I just want to see what your point of
Sometimes
view
we have
is.
to teach ourselves things, Riley.
Go ahead. Explain
Sometimes we have to teach ourselves what things are.
Stop making me laugh!
I am seriously here asking for advice. It slipped out of my control. The amount of pushback from my wife when I address the problems create a lot of tension and distress the children. Yeah, Riley, think of the children, which you're not doing. She just keeps bringing home animals. The last time I threatened to rehome the chickens that she was keeping in the house, she became extremely angry and combative. She rehomed them, but not after a slew of insults and claiming I was being totally unreasonable. Then she just slips back into the same behaviors because she never believed it was a problem in the first place. We've had company come over to our house, but no one has called CPS or animal control yet. Seeing all these reactions has me realizing just how bad it is from an outside perspective, and a CPS call is a serious possibility, and that is terrifying.
Go ahead and call CPS because you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because this is your house that you have let this happen to.
Maybe he's too busy doing secret missions to keep CPS from exploding their family.
He just said he's going to call CPS.
No, he said someone might, and it's very scary, which is why he's constantly working.
Because that's why he's not going to take pictures.
He's constantly working on the low, and OP has done nothing wrong.
And you know it. It's
OP
okay.
did nothing wrong except he married the wrong woman.
No, OP had a choice to marry someone, and he married her, and he did the wrong thing by not actually giving anything to this relationship.
Well, update number 1. Some of you may remember my post venting and looking for advice on what to do in regards to an extreme animal hoarding situation with my wife. Dozens of chickens residing in the home, and a variety of animals roaming outside of cages in the home, feces, and a rampant mice infestation. After posting, I sought therapy and started getting my bearings straightened out in the midst of setting firm boundaries and beginning the work to clean up literally 2 tons of chicken crap, sand, and pine shavings, and resolving the rodent problem. A call to CPS was made by a third party, and an investigation ensued. Believe it or not, by that time, much of the situation was resolved. Animals rehomed, house cleaned, sanitized. Nothing came of the CPS investigation, and it was quickly closed out because my man is the hardest worker this side of the Milky Way.
He was just trying to save himself. He was just trying to save himself from a fine. That's all it was.
Yeah, he was just trying to save himself.
Look, well, why the heck did he do it all of a sudden?
He saved his entire family single-handedly. However, the relationship was essentially permanently damaged as my wife continued to deny the problem was out of hand. Deep resentment developed towards each other. Fast forward nearly 12 months and my quitter wife requested a divorce. We are now separated, awaiting an official legal divorce. I have moved into a very nice home and have the kids 50-50.
Yeah, I'm shocked too how we got 50 of these goods.
My physical and mental health has dramatically improved. My kids now have an organized and clean, safe haven, and they seem happy. It seems inevitable that she may lose custody of the kids at some point altogether. I'm hoping she can keep things in check, but due to the constant denial that there was a problem, it will most likely repeat. I may have no choice but to take steps to ensure the children's safety at some point, further disrupting the children's lives from their otherwise loving mother. Limitations on pet quantities and cleanliness standards are written into the divorce settlement. By the way, wife has been in therapy for a couple of years in the midst of the hoarding. I guess you could say the therapist was either not savvy to the situation or enabling to an irresponsible level. I'm leaning towards the latter. She became more and more emboldened that I was causing her problems as opposed to looking inward. Her therapist seemed to fuel the delusions as far as I could tell. Anyway, thanks for all your advice and getting me to wake up to the madness I contributed to through inaction. Okay.
Out of everything OP has said, I was about to say two things. One, he has not seen anything that he's done wrong and explained it. He finally did for once in his freaking post.
Sorry, he was inactive. He was just trying to make his wife happy.
The only thing he has talked about with his wife is the divorce.
Not even entertaining that. I'm not even entertaining that. Update number 2. My soon-to-be ex-wife has a bit of an animal obsession, but otherwise is a loving and attentive mother. We share 50-50 custody of 4 children. When we split up last year, I had worked really hard to get the house cleaned up, helped to rehome dozens of animals, and eradicate a mice infestation before moving out. Since then, she has collected dozens of animals again, and the home reeks of animal urine. My oldest child has reported that the mice have returned. There is so much animal feed around the property and inside the home that wild mice have endless food supplies. The dogs are not potty trained, and every caged animal cannot be cleaned regularly enough to keep the odors at bay. When I got the kids for the week, all of their belongings and clothing had the strongest pungent odor of dirt and urine. My home is clean and smells fresh, and the kids' belongings made my whole house stink. 2 of my kids are wearing the same clothes day and night for multiple days at a time. I called CPS based on my attorney's advice, and I feel awful about it.
As you should, you reeking a-hole.
Look at my gentle, perfect OP. Even when he has to make the right call, he loves his wife so much that it torments his beautiful, gentle soul. You're OP. I'm the wife. Try to talk to me about getting rid of the animals.
I would, but he never talks to her. He just does it.
Time to use our imagination.
Have we ever seen him say, I talked to my wife about this? No, we haven't.
We literally did. And you know what happened? Here, I'll just do it since you won't do it because you're a coward. She goes, don't you dare touch Rudy or Julie or Donnie or Timmy or Tommy or Paul or Jenkins because I love every last one of them. And if you touch them, I will light your bed on fire.
Unreliable narrator right here because we're not getting anything from the wife's side and we're just getting what he's saying.
It feels and looks vindictive enough, even though that's not my intent. I feel like garbage and like I'm betraying my kid's mom's trust. I want to co-parent amicably, and I feel like this will take away from that. At the same time, she has a problem that is interfering with raising our children in a safe and sanitary environment. My kids love having all the animals. Granted, they love them, but they don't recognize the amount of time and cost to properly care for them.
Yeah, because you
they just like the excitement of having a bunch of pets and animals. This is going to also strain my relationship with the kids to a degree. They don't realize that 1, the animals cannot possibly be cared for adequately, 2, that they are going to school stinking to high heaven, and 3, that the home is a health concern for them. 4, they see me as the mean dad that wants to take away all their precious animals, which are a part of the family. Part of me is just scared of my soon-to-be ex-wife, like actually afraid for my safety, LOL. I don't know if she knows yet, and a part of me wants to go over to her house and help her clean up and tell her again to rehome the animals. I know this is not realistic, as it was the primary source of our arguing in our home when we were together. I told her before moving out that I would always expect that her home be sanitary and not overrun by pets again, but that I would be amicable and fair in our divorce process. And now it just feels like I'm being petty in the process of a difficult divorce, even though logically it's not true, but I can't help shake a yucky feeling about calling CPS. Look how sweet he is. even though he knows.
Yeah, because he's going to manipulate the situation so he can have full custody of his kids because he doesn't want to put any effort into this.
OP is literally Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. You know, sometimes
more like Venom.
Sometimes you have to call CPS on your wife because she's got a pee-pee poo-poo house. You can't. If you're a good father, you can't let your kids be staying 50-50 in a pee-pee poo-poo house.
He has no regrets about any of this. He's like, this is all her fault, and not like I should have done more as a husband. I should have done more for the kids. I should have had a freaking backbone instead of letting my wife do whatever she wants, and I should have like poured into my relationship.
Yeah, keep digging. Go ahead.
He neglected their relationship
Keep
to
digging.
this point. This is what neglection does.
I continued feeling uneasy all day and a bit panicked that before CPS came, she would be able to conceal, hide, or talk her way out of the situation. I started feeling like I would come out looking worse and the kids would not get a clean home out of the call. CPS talked to all of my kids while at school today. My 3 little ones all reported that they are all fine from what I could tell. I didn't pry or ask for more details of their conversation, but just generally asked if the interview was okay and how they felt about it. They all seemed fine and like it was discreet and no big deal. However, my oldest child's visit from the agent was separate as he goes to middle school. He spilled all the beans and complained heavily about the unsanitary conditions in great detail. I did not tell him, warn him, or coach him in any way whatsoever. In fact, I tried not to even complain about the home to them, as there's nothing they can do about it, and it therefore would not be helpful. It would only cause them stress. He detailed that he asked his mom to buy a new $10 shirt, and she told him no, she doesn't have the money. He then told the CPS agent that 2 days later, he saw her come home with tons of new chickens and animal supplies. I'm saddened that he has been living in those conditions. I feel bad that their mom was probably humiliated by that story being retold to her. My son corroborated every complaint. And by the way, you can corroborate with us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. And we might even be live right now, so you can go check that out. The only reason I know what he told the agent was that their mom called him tonight and was quizzing him on his interview. I overheard everything he said as I was cleaning the kitchen, and he was right there boldly telling his mom all the things he told the agent. I didn't even know he was interviewed today, as we had a full afternoon of driving to kids' activities and making dinner, rushing to do all the parenting things. Anyway, I am relieved that there was corroboration, and it sounds like this may light a fire under their mom to again make some changes. I feel like this could end up being a regular cycle in the years to come. I hope she hangs in there, finds the courage to recognize there is a legitimate issue, and work to get better. I haven't been reached out to by CPS yet, but I suspect to get a call soon, and I hope they are able to convince her that changes have to be made. And that is the end of that story.
Poll.
My girlfriend is obsessed with taking care of animals. I feel neglected.
I don't know, Opie. Maybe you're the animal?
I'm trying to keep this as anonymous as possible. Here we go. My girlfriend loves animals. She's a legal secretary as her job and also works as a small animals specialist on the side. She's worked as a small animal specialist for 4 years, and after getting her, quote, real job, decided to keep her other job for fun. At home, we have 2 dogs and 2 cats. All are her pets. By the way, this comes from user Too Many Pets on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Her jobs are highly demanding. And when she isn't working, she's in the den organizing huge dog adoption events. Every 4 or 5 months, she manages to bring about 60 dogs up from put-down shelters around the United States and finds every dog a home.
Okay, I already side with her.
And I think that's a cool thing she does. She literally stays up until 3 a.m. planning flights and managing people to get the dogs securely to the holding center, etc., and then wakes up at 6 a.m. and goes to work until 5 p.m. and then goes to her other job until 10 p.m. and comes home and repeats the process. On her days off, she's taking her dogs to the park or going on hikes. She lavishes her pets with new beds and the best food, and when she's working, she has the dogs go to daycare. As you can see, her days are filled with animals, and I feel like I'm not even a part of this relationship. When she isn't with animals, she's reading or doing her own thing. We've been out to dinner maybe twice in the past month. She isn't distant or rude. She always lets me in on what she's doing and asks if I want to help or asks if I want to go to the park with her or on a hike, but I don't want to because it's always about the animals and not me. Last night, before we went to bed, she said she was thinking about getting a tree frog to put in the den because she really likes the calming presence they give off. I just think that is the straw that broke the camel's back because I told her that's insane. Buddy, do you just hate animals?
Bro,
I'm sorry. Look, there are people who are nature people. There's people who are not. If you're not a nature person and you I guess, just despise other living creatures that take the attention away from you. Don't be in a relationship with somebody who loves animals. I told her that I'm tired of all the animal stuff she's involved in. I told her she needs to grow up. And I told her absolutely no to the tree frog idea. At first, she was quiet, but then she said something about how animals are her passion and what she does isn't stupid, and she'll never get tired of animals, and that I have my own hobbies too that she doesn't think are stupid and childish. She then said that tree frogs are close to nothing maintenance-wise, and they're just pretty. Then she started getting upset and cried and left the room, and when I woke up, I found her asleep on the living room floor with the dogs. It's not like we're being overrun with animals, but the amount of them in my life is aggravating. She even brings random lizards home and nurses them back to health. Isn't this all a little insane?
No, dude, this is like so sweet.
I don't know if you're insane, but your lack of empathy makes me think you could be a sociopath, bro. She's always loved animals, but now that she makes a substantial amount of money, she does more than ever. I don't get it. Now she wants another animal to fawn over and spend hundreds of dollars on each week? No, I guess I'm just venting for the most part. I feel bad for the way she feels, but I still think the time she invests in animals is insane. And since she's in a relationship with me, she should act like it.
If there's only one reason I would be like, oh, okay, the girlfriend's insane, is if like the animals are not doing well, or like she's doing a poor job at it,
or like she's like stealing them from people,
or she's just doing bad stuff. And it sounds like she's doing nothing but angel work.
It sounds like she's extremely passionate about it and she loves it. She loves animals.
Let's hear it.
The only people who are going to be on your side are people who hate animals, like you apparently. From simple logistics, why would you tell her to grow up? She's a grown up, and yes, animals are her hobby. She makes time for her hobby. I think you're just resentful because you aren't spending time with her. She has a right to be upset with what you said. Why don't you sit her down and just explain you think her hobby is great, but it's time consuming? You would like to spend more time with her and do other things besides doing something animal related. Think of some activities you both haven't experienced and not related to your hobbies. Create a hobby you both can do. That way you can set some time aside for it every week. OP, heavily downvoted.
I love that.
I told her to grow up because she's spending thousands of dollars on dogs to fly them from to and fro when she could be using that money on homeless children. I mean, if she was that determined to donate or give away her money, maybe that's what she should be doing. There's no hope. This guy has no hope. I have no hope for this guy. Curse the darkness. I was with you up until this statement. Who the heck are you to decide what charities are important? There are millions of charities in the United States. Is every single one that you don't agree with wrong? Are you the only person in the world who gets to decide what's important? Your basic issue with your girlfriend is that she doesn't have enough time for you, which is a perfectly rational reason to break up. But to try to tear down her work that she's so passionate about just makes you look like an immature butthole.
Big butthole, big stinky butthole. Also, it's her freaking money. She can do whatever she wants with it.
Fluffy bunny butts.
Oh, yes.
Then you'd be writing about how your girlfriend is too focused on homeless children and still doesn't pay attention to you. Facts. Facts.
That's funny.
Why is my girlfriend obsessed with homeless children instead of me? I think she might be obsessed with all these animals because you suck.
She likes helping people. What do? It sounds like you're not doing anything.
OP replies, no. I see the point in donating money to homeless children, and actually doing something about it is even cooler. I honestly don't understand why she needs to dedicate so much time to animals. After reading comment after comment about how I didn't support my girlfriend or care about her passions, I started to see where I was wrong.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah? You were just stumbling around in the dark. I do care about her passions. I personally am burnt out of animal care. I should have communicated that better besides blowing up on her. I still, no matter how many protesting comments I get, will never understand why she donates so much money to just animals and not anything else. That was why I told her to grow up. That, and I think her passion for animals is childish, sort of in the way that kids love fairies or mermaids. Hey, guess what? Those aren't real.
Dude,
those aren't real things.
Dude, OP, you are actually such a joke right now.
OP, you're completely unhinged,
dude,
bro.
I love how you're writing this like you think, like, I know what I'm doing here. This is right. And that everyone's going to decide with me.
I feel like it's a phase that she never grew out of. I love dogs too, but her deep love of animals is something I looked over because she always had good jobs and she is very pretty. I think a lot of people were misguided in calling me a D-bag simply because I missed spending time with my girlfriend. No, I'm not jealous of lizards. I think it's absurd to come home and find her bandaging up some lizard's foot or open my fridge to find a tub of mealworms to give said lizard. I've always loved how dedicated she was to things. No, you didn't. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't.
You really don't.
You're lying. Whatever she's doing, she's giving 100%. I just wish she directed that passion to things that really, really matter. Helping animals is nice and all, but it's not really changing the world. However, I am still deeply in love with the beautiful, sensitive, loving girl I met 5 years ago, and all the comments made it clear that I was being rude to her. So I wrote her up an apology letter and went to the nearest pet store to get her a tree frog. I got the tank and lamp and even crickets. I set up the whole tank in the den where she wanted it and named the tree frog Jinx. I thought my apology and me buying the tree frog would help her see I care and that her passions are cool. Anyway, I waited for Jessica to get home, and finally when she did, I told her to go look in the den. She seemed upset still and said, "Thank you for the tree frog. I actually bought one before I got off work and had a friend set up the tank for me. It's in my car. I'm going to go get it. Thank you." She brought the tank in and asked if we could talk for a little bit in our room because she had some things on her mind. She said she didn't want to jump to conclusions, but our relationship wasn't heading in the direction she wanted. And maybe I should find someone more suited to what I like, maybe a more quieter, less busy life. I explained to her that I love her deeply. I just want her to tone down her animal life. And she said she can't because it's not only her passion, but all the money she makes from being an animal specialist goes to the animals for adoption, vet care, housing, and money to the people who foster the animals when she can't. She said if she toned anything back, she would be losing a huge part of her, and I thought she was being extreme. I told her I loved her, and if that's her choice. She said she loved me too, but my actions showed I can't and won't support her. She then referred to many times in our past when I refused to show up to her adoption events, and most memorable for her was when I wasn't there when she was accepting an award. It all became very clear that she didn't want to be with me anymore, and once again, she was choosing animals over me. She literally had sources cited of all the times you didn't show up for her that meant something to her. You actually don't care about Jessica. Is that blowing your mind right now? You don't care about your girlfriend because you want to literally change her into someone she's not. I accepted it and told her to live her life as she pleases. I told her that I thought she should give money to homeless children too, and she said, sure, but do you know any organizations I could help with? But I didn't have any suggestions, and I was already angry and felt like she was giving me a slap to my face. Yeah, because you literally didn't have anything but that comment, dude.
You slapped your own face, dude. You kept, dude, you have to, oh man, this guy needs a real evaluation.
She said that I was missing the point. We ended the conversation shortly after that with us splitting up and her saying there are things in life that I don't understand and she can't make me understand, and it's just as frustrating for the both of us. I agree with her about the frustration part. But you know who definitely knows everything?
Who?
Us. Which is why you should join us whenever we go live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on TikTok, every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. All you gotta do is tap our profile in. She said that I can spend as much time as needed to clear my head, and I'm allowed to stay here until I find a new place to live in. Unfortunately, the house is hers, and life is going to be weird to adjust to alone. But she's right that it will be less busy and more quiet, which I'm excited and looking forward to. I'm also happy about not having to share my home with a tree frog, her 2 dogs and 2 cats, and whatever other critters she brings home for the night. More top comments. Oh crap, it's not even your house? I thought it was at least shared. You tried to tell an animal lover who helps more than most not to get another animal in her own home? You're a special kind of stupid. And from Soft Corn Pop, did you seriously just compare caring for real life animals to mythical creatures?
Yeah, dude.
You are so dense that if you were dropped in an ocean, you would sink right to the bottom. And I'm proud of her. I love dogs too, but her deep love of animals is something I looked over because she always had good jobs and she's very pretty. That they're quoting back OP. So on top of being a moron, you are also a shallow D-bag. And that's the end of that story.
That's crazy.
Thank God, because
wow,
honestly,
the entire story, we had it. I was like, from that title, I'm siding with the girlfriend.
You are fully hopeless.
That's crazy. I like how you were fighting the internet too. Like the internet's wrong. Okay.
Straight into the sun for you.
But guess what? That's the end of that story.
My mother-in-law demands a financial compromise over a problem she created.
We love when the problems demand we deal with more problems.
Oh, ain't that the truth? Backstory. 5 years ago, my mother-in-law retired, sold her house, and moved to Arizona to be closer to my husband and I, and to be done with harsh winters. In our opinion, she did this prematurely.
Yeah.
By the way, this comes from Irrelevant. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to our r/OK Storytime subreddit. You
Yeah.
already know. So she spent her first year in Arizona living in a small, not great apartment, as that was all that was in her budget. She also hasn't worked since, not even part-time, despite her financial advisor telling her that she should have a job. 4 years ago, my husband was able to buy her a home in a 55-plus community, and the community she's in, she chose for several reasons, including being large, dog-friendly, and we got her into this home with the understanding that this was going to be her forever home. My husband and I own the home, and we see this as our investment into her future care. When she gets to a point where she cannot live on her own, we have this home to sell to fund assisted living. We've made upgrades to the property roof and AC, and mother-in-law put her own money into changing the floors, kitchen, cabinets, counters, etc.
Okay.
3 years ago, she bought a golden retriever puppy. Cute. We both strongly advised against this for several reasons. Get a rescue, including that we didn't think that she should get a dog that would grow to be bigger than she can handle. She got the puppy anyway, now a 75-plus pound goofball that really isn't super loyal to her. Dang.
Yeah.
That's rough, man.
I mean, like, if you don't train the dog,
Yeah.
dog's gonna be hard to wrangle.
Yep, absolutely. A fine dog, but I wouldn't say it's the dog, you know? Not a heart dog. A year and a half ago, my husband and I decided to move abroad and executed the move 7 to 8 months ago. Congratulations. We wanted to try a new way of living and decided that Arizona did not support the kind of lifestyle that we want to have. Almost all of our family is still in Arizona, so visits home will always be to there. And we even spent 2 weeks there last month. My mother-in-law took the news of our move incredibly hard, but since we didn't move until a year after announcing our intention, by the time it happened, she accepted things and was even somewhat happy for us.
That's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
A month after we moved, she had a heart attack and needed triple bypass surgery.
Oh, that's not great. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Whew. We supported her the best we could from abroad with FaceTimes and Amazon packages, and my mom visited her in the hospital almost every day. Her friends at the 55-plus community really stepped up and took turns caring for the dog and helping her with anything she needed through her recovery. It really reassures us to know that she is surrounded by so much support, and that's part of why we felt okay with moving away. But seeing her go through this medical emergency while being over here and helpless was hard. Yeah. I bet, man.
That definitely gotta be difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. But our current situation, in March, the dog was at a neighbor's house being watched by said neighbor and other folks. Mother-in-law was across the street at her own house. The dog had a leash on, but no one was holding it. A woman walked by with her own dog, and mother-in-law's dog ran at the woman and her dog, presumably to greet, but the dogs got into a scuffle, and the woman's leg was injured with a scratch or bite in her attempts to separate the dogs.
Ooh, scratch or bite.
Scratch or...
There's a big difference there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that really is. Dang. Infections could happen. The 55-plus park has a zero tolerance policy for any aggressive dog behavior, and last month my mother-in-law received an eviction notice from the park's attorney citing the incident and saying that the eviction would be canceled if the dog were removed within 5 days.
Dang.
Wow.
Dang.
What an ultimatum.
That's I've never actually heard one like that before.
That's so fast. 5 days and you're out of there. Since we happened to be in a town at that time, we were able to have her and the dog to stay with us for a couple of days while we evaluated the situation. We called an attorney who basically confirmed that the eviction was legal. We all discussed and all agreed that she would move into our house. We run it as a furnished rental with her dog, which would buy time to think about next steps, such as selling her house and buying in another park that would allow the large dog. Then she changed her mind and found a foster for the dog, deciding to foster the dog, sell the house, and move to another park as quickly as possible. She's now putting a lot of pressure on my husband and I to list her house. It's our names on the title, but we are not on board with this course of action. We haven't said this to her, but we both think it would be better to rehome her dog and stay in her current park. Reasons include selling and buying will automatically be flushing thousands of dollars down the drain in rental fees. The homes that would be in our budget are going to be 20 plus years old and need the same kind of major repairs we've already done at her current place, further eating to the investment money. The park she wants to move to is pretty far away, whereas right now she's 5 minutes away from my mom. She would be moving away from the support system provided by her friends in the current park that has already proven itself.
I'm just like, I've never heard it referred to as a park, and it's just the language is funny to me because it makes me I'm seeing all of these older elderly individuals like they're at the dog park being walked around on their leaches by
they're like in
I don't know
houses.
like they're kids.
Yeah.
Like, this this is mine. Model 1952. This one.
Yeah. It's like one of those like fake neighborhoods that you can go around.
Yeah.
Or like, I guess they have fake neighborhoods for certain old people.
So that's just what I'm dealing with right now in my head.
More reasons include she shouldn't be doing this kind of major move at 68 years old. It's taken her 4 years to get fully settled into her current home, and she shouldn't be uprooting everything. The dog could easily be rehomed to a great family. It's a golden. And when the time is right, she could adopt another dog. Also, her dog did not miss her at all when she was in the hospital for her heart attack. Dang. That's brutal, man.
That is ice cold.
That's brutal.
You could have just left that out.
Yeah.
You didn't need to put that in the story.
That's rough, man. One time someone told me that my dogs don't care about me.
That's rough.
Oh.
Hey. We got puns.
Totally intentional. She's really not a very loyal dog. Ultimately, this house is our investment into her future care, and from a financial standpoint, this seems like such an obvious decision. On the other hand, she is alone, and this dog is her companion. I don't know if it's right for us to refuse to sell her house, even if it makes sense on paper. From an emotional standpoint, I feel like this is wrong. I think that part of our job in taking care of my mother-in-law is making sure that she is emotionally cared for, and forcing her to get rid of the dog would probably be unforgivable from her POV. My husband is planning on having the talk with her tonight because so far he has not shared with her his full thoughts on the situation. He and I have been talking in depth for a while, trying to figure out a course forward. So what would anyone do in this situation? Should we tell my mother-in-law that we will not let her move? Should we take the financial and help her keep her dog? And there are some comments, and there's like, we're not even halfway through the story. But what would you do? What would you do?
I mean, she said she wanted to like foster the dog or like rehome the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I think she can do that. It sounded like that was her idea at one point, right? No?
I think so.
I don't know. Yeah, I think staying with the friends that she's made at her park, probably the best move.
Yeah.
If you can get her to agree.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also like, maybe she's like, I don't want to stay at the same place where they made me get rid of my dog.
Oh, yeah. She might be bitter.
She might be like, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
People get stuff in their head. It's hard to get it out of their head once they are dead set on an idea. So
Right.
But
especially when they're elderly,
yeah,
they seem to be a little more set in their ways a bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, that seems like a solid plan. Nice that they're gonna talk about it. That's definitely sure that they're not just like making an executive decision. That
should
will
be a
never go
talk
well.
for sure.
Absolutely. But there were some comments. Comment number 1 says info. You say you had agreed for her to move into your house temporarily to think about selling her house and moving as the next step. Were you insecure when you said this and were hoping that she'd change her mind and give up the dog? I don't really see how she's changed her mind in this situation. She still wants to move elsewhere with the dog. It's just that she wants to stay where she is and have the dog fostered temporarily rather than moving to your house temporarily. OP responds, no, that was a sincere offer at the time, but now having had several weeks to gather information, we are grappling with huge financial hit. Keeping the dog means as well as the other repercussions and considerations. With her making the decision to stay where she is and foster the dog, she's now putting a huge time crunch and urgency on the whole thing. Every time she calls, she's just trying to put pressure on us to list the house as soon as possible. Meanwhile, we've tasked her with finding other parks to live in, and she's found one, and that one park has one listing that would be within budget being at the max whatever we could net from her house. Even if we did list her house today, it's highly unlikely that it would sell. Her park has slow market right now. In time to buy that unit, sellers have priced it low to move it quickly. And there is another update. Do you have any final thoughts before we go into this this first update?
No, I think let's just dive right in.
Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
So, update. Mother-in-law to my husband. You're just another man screwing me over. Oh boy.
Nice.
Accusations coming out hard. Oh man. A little more context. The house was bought 100% with my and my husband's money. The park had a requirement that the resident had to be on the title. So a few weeks after we bought it, we added her name to the title to check that box. A year or two later, we removed her name from the title because A, it's not her asset, and B, we anticipated a situation much like this might happen. Good foresight, turns out. She's currently out of state visiting a friend, plus there is a 9-hour time difference from our country, so our evenings are her mornings. She was supposed to fly home on Friday and had commitments to handle for us over the weekend. On Thursday morning, we woke up to a text from her that she was wanting to extend her trip and that it was fine except for her commitment to us, checking out tenants and checking in new tenants. We pay her to manage our property until our house sells in a couple months. I sent her a polite but firm response that extending her trip sounded nice, but less than 2 days' notice was not appreciated, and to please get me up to speed on her conversations with the current tenants so that I could handle the situation. At the same time, we needed to have the conversation with her about unlisting her house. Her text had said that she'd call us when she woke up, so I told her, please don't do that, as we'll be working and that we would call her. By the time we finished up work on Thursday, we had heard nothing back from mother-in-law. Husband and I both tried to call her a few times throughout the evening, and we figured that she somehow took offense to my text and was being pouty. So, being unable to communicate with her first before taking the house off of the market, my husband reached out to the listing agent and asking for removal. The listing agent said that she would take down the sign and flyers, but that the house would stay on the market until the contract expires. Husband responded asking what it would take to dissolve the contract. She said we could talk about paying her a fee. The agent didn't respond. The next morning, we woke up to a text to my husband from my mother-in-law. The agent had texted her and told her that we wanted to take the house off the market. To be clear, my mother-in-law's name is not on the contract. The agent's professional relationship is with us, and my mother-in-law is a tenant in our house. It was wholly inappropriate for the agent to reach out to my mother-in-law in this way, and I will be contacting her broker to explain. Boom. Get her.
Get her.
Get her.
Get her.
So, mother-in-law texted my husband saying that she was confused, hurt, angry, and mostly very disappointed in the text messages.
Hitting you with the disappointment.
Hitting her with the disappointment.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Disappointed. She's using all the weapons in her arsenal.
In her vast arsenal.
Arsenal. Okay, thank you. I was blanking on that word. Since she had been ignoring us, the only text messages were the one I sent in response to her extending her trip and the text from the agent. She asked, "What will it take for you to buy me out of my portion of my home so I can move on with my life that I choose to live?" My husband responded that he had tried to have a conversation and that he's not telling her how to live. He's saying that there are conditions to her spending his money, which she hasn't met, and that they need to discuss. He asked to schedule a call. She called him Friday afternoon, Friday morning, her time. She confirmed that she was extending her trip by a week, and my husband said, "That's great." She asked if he's taking her house off the market. He said yes. She asked why, and he said, you know why. We've talked about this. She didn't respond and pivoted to say that she is moving no matter what and wants to be bought out of the house. So she's going to do what they want, which is move out of the house, but she's like, you gotta pay me first.
She's like holding herself hostage.
Yeah, it's a really like backwards situation.
And it's like, well, technically it is their house. Like they spent all the money for it, right?
Yeah.
From what I'm aware of.
Absolutely. So I guess she's just forgetting that she didn't buy the house.
She's just being a difficult person.
Yes. Yes, it seems. My husband said fine and that he would reimburse her for the flooring and kitchen cabinets that she installed.
She did pay for those.
Okay.
I forgot.
I guess so. She had originally wanted us to pay for those and we declined as the house's original floors and cabinets were fine. She said that her investment was worth $60,000. It's not.
Those are some expensive cabinets.
Yeah, for real. Oh my gosh. He said, sure, show me the receipts and I'll make you whole on it. From there, she started spiraling, got mad that her name was taken off the title, said that she wanted a return on her investment and that she wanted $40,000, said that she could rip out the cabinets, said it was her house, threatened legal action, said that this isn't how you do business, especially with family, and said this isn't how you treat family.
Wow.
She's really trying everything.
She had a mouthful there.
Oh my goodness gracious. To that, my husband said, what isn't how you treat family? Buying them a house to live in for free? I'm so proud of him for that one. Dang, yeah, that's a great thing to do for your family.
Yeah, be like, oh, so I shouldn't have bought you this free house.
Yeah, my bad. That caught her off guard. Yeah, that's great, but she said this isn't how to treat your mother who raised you for 20 years. At 14, he went to live with his dad full time, and at 19, he went into the military, so he was very confused at the 20 years thing. She said she wants to be paid back for her improvements to the property, and so with the spiral, it continued. Finally, she told him, "You're just another man screwing me over," and she hung up the phone. Wow, there's still more to this, but this woman is hurt. She is hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like she's been screwed over by a lot of men in the past.
I guess so.
Sounds like she is sensitive to that.
Yep.
It is fair to be like, well, I did spend money on parts of the house, but then also, like, don't tell them just a fake made up number that's not real.
Yeah, that's like so much money.
Yeah, like tell them the actual house. Also, they're selling this house to get you another house, essentially, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
They're selling this place to put you in the next place you want to be.
Right. So, like, beggars can't be choosers. You know? And if the cabinets weren't really adding any, like, value to the house, then you don't get anything from it. I watch HGTV.
Boom.
That's what they say, right?
That's what they do say.
Take it up with Joanna and the other one.
Take it up with the crew.
Yeah. So she hung up the phone. For a mother to say that to her son is just what? So gross in so many ways. All I needed to hear to know that I'm not crazy about the relationship dynamic here and her much deeper rooted problems that she's never bothered to resolve throughout her life. I could make a whole other post on that. Anyway, my husband followed up the call with a text. I am not another man screwing you over. And I think that was an awful thing for you to say to me. I'm simply not spending thousands of dollars to solve your problems. You made the decision to get an enormous dog. You made the decision to not get proper training for the dog. And you made these decisions knowing the policies of the park you specifically wanted to live in. The situation you're in right now is a direct consequence of your decisions. You need to own the consequences of your own actions. Furthermore, I agreed to sell my property and acquiesce once again to your desires with specific conditions that you have chosen to ignore. My removing the house from your market is again a direct consequence of your decision. The decision to not work. I forgot about that not working thing.
That's
that was
right.
A callback from the very beginning.
Unemployed. And paid for.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But still not good enough.
And she's like willing. She's like able to work though too. She's not, broken enough, it seems.
I mean, like 68's pretty old.
It's pretty old.
But also, like, there is stuff out there.
Yeah. There's stuff out there. I once worked at a clothing store and one of my coworkers was 72. But I mean, obviously I don't know how like physically able she is, but if she's got a big dog, then maybe
you
something.
could be a taste tester.
Walk around. Yeah. You act as if I'm doing this maliciously, and I need you to know that I am not. I am making the best financial decisions to ensure that my mother is taken care of, especially when she is so determined to act against her own long-term self-interest for the sake of her emotional state. She responded something about being paid for her investment. He said something about how, in that case, she will need to move out, and she said that she was working on it. She seems to think that we are straight up stealing money from her. Something in her warped point of view really sees it as she is owed at least 1/3 of the property value no matter what. I sent her a long text basically saying that she acts very entitled toward my husband and always has, and that what she said to him was wrong. That this isn't about the money, that we don't want or need the money from the house, that any of the money is for us to take care of her, but it's not hers to spend. That we still plan to take care of her even through all of this, but that she didn't uphold her commitment and that she owes my husband an apology. She responded saying that it is about money, that she is grateful, and that we are rude and disrespectful to her to get a job or else, and that she doesn't need to be taken care of yet. I asked her how she thinks it's fair that she isn't holding up her end of the house selling agreement and why she agreed to the job condition in the first place. That the time to take care of her already came when she needed a place to live, and that she's lost my trust and owes my husband an apology. She also has had a bit of a back and forth texting with my husband, but it's just been some petty little quips. Actually gave me a good chuckle. She sent a pic of the Arizona sunset behind her house and said, "Pretty sunset at your house, XD." Wait, what?
Wait.
Oh, like she's saying like at your house and not my house.
Oh, right.
I think that's what she's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so nice here at your house.
At your house. Ha ha ha. XD. It's like dealing with a moody teenager. We'll get through all of this. By the way, what you can try to get through is all of our videos. All of our videos with full episodes, stories just like these. How many days are there?
48.
48 days. And that number is just growing. So
it keeps going up.
It would take you 48 days to get through all that we have for you.
Consecutive days.
Consecutive days.
days. Just go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app, search OK Storytime, and we got you. We got you. And there is a tiny bit more to the story. Any quick thoughts before we go into it?
Sometimes people are difficult.
Yep. That is, yeah.
But we still love them.
Still love them begrudgingly sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to see how this ends. I know she loves my husband, and I do have faith that she'll apologize. And like I said to her in my first long text, nothing you say or do in your hurt and anger will change the fact that we will always be here and ready to provide you with stability. That's a nice thing to add.
Yeah.
Through all of this, I have so much love and respect for my husband, that he turned out to be such a wonderful person and partner despite his upbringing. He says that we all get to choose who we want to be, but I think even that takes a level of awareness that most people don't have. But anywho, in that case, I love who he chooses to be. Aw, what a sweet little note to end on. That's super cute.
Oh, he's so sweet.
That's adorable.
A little cutie pie type thing to say.
Yeah, but
wow.
Man,
I've just the end.
Heard so many stories. Like, obviously, you know, I don't think she's like in the place yet where she needs to be like actively taken care of. I mean, she is taken care of, but she doesn't need like a live-in person to take care of her or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've just heard so many stories of that being so difficult to deal with your parents like that. So
it's just hard when they like don't have a job,
Yeah.
whoever it is.
Yeah.
If you're like helping somebody and they don't have any income,
Yeah.
it's just like, are you trying?
Right. And then they're complaining about like things that
But you are 68.
It's complicated. It's complicated. But anyway, that is the end of that story.
My own mother said she'd put down my dog if I didn't ride the roller coaster.
Okay,
OP.
This is OKOP. I'm Samuel Donner.
And I'm John Fry.
And we tell the funniest stories on the internet.
Oh, yeah, we do. And Sam, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Your mother is a blunt person. You know,
she is
very direct to the point. I'm curious.
She's very blunt.
What's like the meanest or maybe harshest feeling thing that she's said or done to you?
I mean, a
dangerous question.
I mean, like, where do I start? I'll call my mom about like some project that this show. Okay.
Right.
Like we recently reached like the number 40 something comedy.
38 actually was our top spot. I just
38 comedy podcasts in the world on Spotify, or in the US on Spotify. And I tell my mom and she's like, is it The Dumb Show?
The Dumb Show.
She calls this The Dumb Show.
The Dumb Show.
It's not dumb.
We're so
It's
boiled
sick.
down.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, you know, our life's work over here.
You know,
and here she is taking a giant whopping stinker on it.
Well, I always appreciate her, but her honesty did get us to our incredible name.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Before
a
it was going
double-edged
to be
sword.
called Internet Boys,
Internet
which
Boys.
sounded a little bit porny, and so John came up with OKOP, and here we are.
We switched it up. Well, I have a story of a mother, believe it or not, saying something worse to their own child.
Something worse?
Something way worse.
Okay, let's hear it.
My own mother said she'd put down my dog if I didn't ride the roller coaster.
What did the dog? Why is the dog's life on the line for this?
These are the questions we should be asking.
Oh my God.
So, this happened some time ago, but I just remembered it, and it peeves me off just as much as the day that it happened. So here it goes. Some time ago in Hershey Park, Pennsylvania, which is literally the theme park for the Hershey chocolate, by the way.
Okay.
Some time ago, I was in Hershey Park, Pennsylvania, which is the theme park for the Hershey chocolate. I hate this place since I don't like amusement parks, which is interesting. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that doesn't like amusement parks.
Do not like amusement. Do not like to be amused.
Are you not amused? See, the rides there give me anxiety and stress me out. And trekking around them is exhausting.
I mean, the lines do. The lines
are
annoying.
terrible.
Yeah.
I will definitely give it up on the lines. Need that fast pass. And I also
or a wheelchair.
Or some sort of way to get in quickly. And I also get quickly uncomfortable around lots of people. And Hershey Park has, you guessed it, a lot of people.
Lots of people.
A lot of them. Regardless of this, my parents...
And they're big people, too.
Big people,
You know, if you're at an American theme park, you're getting some large and charge people over there.
Rolling around.
Rolling around.
Rolling
on the river.
Regardless of this, my parents never stop talking about the theme park and always try to guilt me about it and to go there. So there was this one time we were there, and my parents wanted me to go on a ride, even though I voiced my problems to them several times. So somehow my mom thought, he loves his pet foxhound. Why don't I threaten to put the dog down if he doesn't go on a ride?
I see, like, I understand, putting some pressure on people to make them achieve their dreams, and push them out of their comfort zone, but not threatening the dog.
Not threatening the dog. And just like,
no.
Just the absurdity of how unnecessary it is. It's like, you want them to go on a roller coaster, which is like so non-consequential, and you're going to do that ridiculous. If they don't do it? Like,
ridiculous.
Insane.
The stakes have elevated infinitely here.
For no reason whatsoever. For no reason. So my mom told me this, and I almost immediately begin to tear up. This poor kid.
I know.
I didn't want to lose my precious, precious dog, but roller coasters scare the living heck out of me. She said, you have to go on this one ride called the Lightning Racer.
Oh, no, not the Lightning Racer.
Ka-chow. That ride is a rickety old piece of crap. And it's also quite tall. That's the worst. When you get the rickety one, that's also
because then your neck's boggling all around.
Just swaying in the wind as you climb up to the top.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like roller coasters, but not the old rickety ones because you get tossed around like a piece of meat.
It's a lot. Now, this is exactly the kind of one I am terrified of. But I had to go on it. Otherwise,
my dog would die.
As I was told, my dog would be done for. So I did it. My mom said I'd enjoy it. I didn't. I hated it.
But at least his dog's life was spared.
At least my dog's life was spared. It was awful. It gave me a cramp from the next day and a half. Wow, that's a lot.
That's a long cramp.
And it left me shaking and shuddering for the entire day and grew my hatred for Hershey Park that much more. I still have not forgiven my mom for it, and I don't think I ever will. Yeah, honestly, it's understandable.
It's like, it would be different if it was like, dude, you got to go to prom, I mean, you still shouldn't say I'm going to kill your dog. But let's just say in the best case, right? It's like, the OP doesn't want to go to prom. His mom's like, you got to go to prom or I'm going to kill your dog. And then OP goes to prom, meets the girl or boy of his or her dreams.
Yeah.
And they get married. They live in a cottage after. And then on his mom's deathbed, it's like, if you didn't force me to go to prom by saying you would put down my dog, I wouldn't have met the love of my life. That's the only way it could be a little better.
The only way I could see this being okay is if OP just pulled one out. It's like, freeze, and held up some random stranger, and the mom's like, I'll put down the dog if you don't, eliminate the stranger. That's the only possible scenario. I actually told her about my anger about an hour and a half later, to which she responded with the fakest, non-genuine sorry I've ever heard. She didn't even take her eyes off the TV. And to this day, my parents wonder why I dislike them and the dang Hershey Park so much.
Damn, totally understandable, OP. Dislike your parents for as long as you'd like.
Yeah.
My husband abruptly adopted a Burmese python. It terrifies me and I want to rehome it. Riley, would you ever have a pet snake?
No.
I disagree. I would have a pet snake. I think they're really cute. I had a friend who had a pet snake and I thought he was really cute.
I'll have a pet snake with legs.
A lizard?
Yeah. I'll do that.
Anyway, scared of snakes. Oh, that's not good. Says, for context, I'm 24 female and my husband is 26 male. Maybe this would be more appropriate on r/snakes, but the problem is less about the python itself and more about my relationship with my husband. So personally, I don't think so.
Imagine putting this into r/snakes, looking for relationship advice. Not the right audience.
The snake people are like, I don't know much about relationships, but I can tell you about snakes.
I can tell you how to maintain a relationship with your
snake.
python, python, but not with your husband.
Yeah, they're like, let me relate this back to the python to use it as a metaphor. Your husband is a snake in the grass. 6 months ago, our corn snake unexpectedly died. Oh, so they've had snakes before.
Okay.
My husband and I were both very upset. He was a cute little guy and still very young. My husband has owned several small reptiles during his lifetime, and he told me he was thinking of trying a milk snake this time instead of a corn or garter. Instead, 2 months after our corn died, he came home with a baby Burmese python.
Okay, I'm going to have to see what this looks like.
They're big. They get really big.
I'm not really afraid of snakes, honestly.
I'm not afraid of snakes
I'm
either.
more of a spider kind of guy.
I'm also not afraid of spiders. I would say I'm afraid of hornets. Yeah, no, they get huge.
Oh my fucking God.
I don't even think it's like fair to own a Burmese python in a house.
These guys,
they're big. They're very strong. And they can be I think they can be quite nice if you train them or something. Or like, I could be totally wrong about that. I don't know too much about snakes. Snake alert.
Snake alert. If you're scared of snakes.
If you're scared of snakes, snake alert.
Just stop reading right now.
Yeah. Apparently, it's always been his dream to own a Burmese. Not only am I pissed that he got something like that without consulting me. On the upside, where we live, they are legal, but I had several reservations that had only grown since we've owned it. Are they legal in California? Do we know that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Florida. I'm guessing Florida.
That makes sense. It usually is.
This is some Florida activity right here. People in Florida love snakes.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like they just go down to the bottom of Florida and pick one up and take it home.
You just adopt a snake on the side of the road.
Okay, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma.
Cannot have a Burmese python in California.
Whoa, these snakes can grow up to 23 feet and weigh over 200 pounds? Pet. That's not a pet.
Oh my God, that's so big. Jesus. Opie continues, I have generalized anxiety disorder, and that thing triggers my anxiety like no other. When I was doing research about Burmese pythons, I kept reading stories about them killing pets, children, and even their owners. Oh my God. So now I'm freaked out and have barely slept for months. Oh, for 4 months. This is made worse by the fact that my husband has no experience with large snakes, and the larger the python grows, the more it shows, and also by us having a cat. The other snakes we've had, our corn snake and my husband's old garter snake, pose no threat. But now I constantly worry that the python is going to get out and eat her. That is terrifying. I've taken to locking the cat in our bedroom at night, which interferes with her sleep since she meows and scratches at the door, but I'm constantly worrying about her when she's home alone. I'll reiterate, this thing is effing huge. He's already 6 feet long. Oh my God. That is longer than me.
A few inches shorter than me. That's how tall I am.
Just to put that out there.
I am 6 foot.
I'm home more than my husband, so I have to feed it and change its substrates often. Substrates. I don't know what that is. I hate doing both so much, especially now that he's graduated to eating rabbits and pigs. Rabbits and pigs? Pigs? Pigs are big. Like live pigs. You're bringing live pigs home. How expensive is it to feed this creature?
Like rabbits, if I was feeding a snake, I just would keep it at mice.
I mean, that's what usually if you have a snake, you're feeding it mice, like live mice.
Yeah, but
this rabbits and pigs?
I'm going to guess baby pigs.
That's so sad.
I can't even comprehend this, the pigs part.
Oh my God. I'm so confused and shocked. I honestly think that since my husband brought him home without consulting me, that caring for it should be his sole job, but I'm not going to let it go hungry or live in its own waste out of pride. Again, we have these husbands that won't take care of the pet that they brought home. I honestly don't think we'll be able to give the snake the best quality of life, which I think is essential for all pets. He's getting too big for the tank he's in, which is his 3rd since we've gotten him, and I don't think we have the room in our house for the enclosure my husband wants to build him. His food is very expensive. Yeah, if you're getting him whole pigs. And eating into our savings, but it's what he needs, so we can't downgrade. The python does not deserve to live in a tiny space and eat inadequate food because my husband wanted one as a kid. At the same time, it's a good possibility it could eat us out of house and home, or just eat you. I don't want kids while we own a python, and these things can live up to 20 years. I don't want to never have children, which I've dreamed of because of a python. No.
Major red flag
Major
that
red flag.
he did not
Consult her.
Because she's like now figuring this out on her own.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the python's here. How can I live life with this thing?
With this thing, have a child.
Apparently it eats kids. Apparently it's pets.
Apparently it's owners.
Oh, don't worry. It's going to only live for 20 years.
Yikes. Because of all these reasons, but especially the ones about our cat and its quality of life, I think we should rehome the python, preferably to a wildlife sanctuary or something.
Yep.
Absolutely. I gently brought all of this up to my husband, how much mental anguish it causes me, how worried I am for a cat, how the snake is unsustainable, and all he's done is tell me to get over it, accuse me of not caring about his happiness. You're not caring about your wife's happiness, and tell me I'm being prejudiced against animals that aren't cute and cuddly. None of this is true. Not even the last accusation. I liked his smaller snakes a lot. Yeah, we already know that they've had smaller snakes in the past, and this was never an issue.
The smaller snakes were funner because they didn't cost as much.
Yeah.
And they didn't scare the living F out of you.
It's like having a tiger in your house and being like, hey, I'm not comfortable with having a tiger in their house. And they were like, well, you just don't like cats that are big.
Oh my gosh.
How can I communicate productively with my husband about this issue? He already loves the snake, and I think that's getting in the way of him seeing reason. There is an edit. For the snake people, I acknowledge that now that our husbandry is probably wrong, proving my point even more. Also, I have been informed that the snake probably wasn't a baby if it's at this size now, so take that into account. I'm not the most knowledgeable about snakes. And there are some relevant comments.
Yeah, what do you think she should do?
I mean, obviously, I think the right choice is to take the snake to a wildlife reserve. But I don't know what to do if the husband isn't leaving or isn't
on the same page.
On the same page, yeah.
Yeah, because like as a husband, you want to make sure like your wife is feeling protected, safe. And if you bring home a pet like this and she wants to have kids like within the next 3 to 5 years, dude, you got to make some compromises.
Yeah.
Stick with the cute snakes, not the big python.
Yeah. You could still have snakes. Those were never an issue. It's just a giant python. It's also not fair to the python.
It's not fair to the python because like you don't have the resources for it. You're having to dip into your savings to take care of this python. I know you've always wanted to have it, but wait till you're in another stage of life to do that.
Yeah.
I want an old, nice looking car, but I'm 23. I can't do that right now.
Yeah. You don't have the funds for it. You don't have the space for it.
That's a big one.
Yeah. And I think that you should continue having these conversations. Maybe someone else has a better idea of what OP should say to her husband.
Yeah.
But I think if he's truly not listening to you, like maybe consider.
I just think it's very immature that he did not beforehand talk to her.
Because that's a big decision.
Huge decision.
I mean, it's a huge snake. Every foot is another addition to the decision. Relevant comments.
Oh, dude.
OP says, as far as worrying about the python getting out and killing the cat / future kids / us, OP's husband says, I won't let it get out. You need to get on new anxiety medication. Unbelievable. Never mind the fact that both the corn and the garter snake escaped from their tanks. Oh my God. OP's husband says, well, what are you going to do? Let it starve just because you don't like it? That's cruel. And then he says that we have room for the enclosure and that we'll find money to keep buying it food. He says, I'm ridiculous to not want babies while we have a python, and says everything will be fine. I don't find any of his rebuttals particularly compelling because they're just, no, that won't happen, to a concern of mine without explaining why it won't happen. I can't believe he's using her like anxiety as like against her.
Yeah.
Even someone who doesn't have anxiety would probably be worried about this.
I'm worried. I might have anxiety, but I don't.
I do have anxiety, and I would still be worried. Like
I have
this
anxiety
husband.
thinking about it. Does that count that I have anxiety?
Not exactly, but thank you for your solidarity.
You're welcome.
This is not a red flag for you. This is a red flag for the husband.
Oh, okay. Cool. I knew it was for me. I have no red flags.
For the husband, big red flag. He's not listening to his wife at all.
He's not. It's a fucking snake. Ah! I had to like take away the picture looking at it. I think I've now grown a fear of snakes.
Yeah.
And I was so okay with my life until this.
I still like snakes, but I just know that I couldn't raise a python.
No. Snakes or spiders? Which one are you guys afraid of?
But there is an update.
Yeah.
Hopefully something good happens.
Yeah, they get rid of it.
Yeah, they get rid of it. It goes
they have a baby.
Lives happily in a reserve. First of all, I have to say thank you for the outpouring of support I got, especially from the reptile enthusiasts who happened to be browsing this sub. You guys are awesome. Maybe you should have gone on r/snakes. Thursday night, while I was replying to people in my post, several people suggesting talking to my husband's friend who owns Burmese pythons, is an experienced reptile keeper, and could be a huge help. I was too blinded by the situation and my own anxiety to even think of that. I messaged him on Facebook Thursday night and told him the situation. He was shocked at how bad things were. But apparently he tried to warn my husband that owning small snakes and then jumping to a Burmese python is like thinking owning house cats makes you qualified to own a tiger. That's exactly what I said.
You're getting too good at these Reddit stories.
Literally. But my husband didn't listen. He's been busy going to reptile shows. This is the husband's friend, and he breeds venomous cobras. He's kind of badass. So he only saw the snake in person once we just got it and was immediately disturbed when I told him about the overfeeding, my husband's desire to start it on live food, and the fact that it free roams and is handled alone.
Wait a second. I didn't even think about the live food. If you're teaching a snake to eat live food and then it sees your cat.
Yeah, it's going to eat your cat. 100% it's going to eat your cat. Also, it free roams? What do you mean it free roams? He told me he'd come over the next day, Friday, and give my husband a real talking to, as well as do anything he could do to help us rehome it.
Nice.
I decided I couldn't live another day in the house like that, and neither could my cat. So Friday morning, I moved out to my mother's while my husband was at work. It was a bit sneaky, but I knew that if I tried to leave while he was home, he tried to convince me to stay. I called him on his lunch break, though, and told him I'd left until the snake was gone. He was very upset, but started accusing me of being so petty as to let a snake wreck our marriage. I had nothing productive to say to that.
Nah, it's not the snake wrecking it. Yeah.
You're ruining it because you're not listening to your wife.
I'm just feel so icky right now. Like with the
Well, my husband's friend was so angry at what he saw of the snake that when he got to the house when my husband was home from work, he gave him the tongue lashing of his life and told him in plain terms that now that he saw how woefully inadequate we were as big snake keepers, there was no way he was going to let that snake stay at our house. Being yelled at really affected him. When my husband drove over to my mother's to talk to me, he looked like a kicked puppy. He broke down and told me that he loved me, that he was sorry for the hell he'd put me through, and that it'd taken having reason yelled to him by an expert for him to really see what was going on, and that he understood now that the snake could no longer live with us. I know that at that point that the sorrow he felt was due to having a snake taken away, not of real understanding, not yet. So don't worry, he's not completely off the hook. It was cathartic to hear this though. His friend contacted a herpetology society he worked with regularly, and then a member of the society whose specialty is rehabilitating snakes that irresponsible pet owners get and then mistreat on his ranch. So Snake went yesterday to the guy's ranch where he'll be fed the right food and go on a diet apparently.
Oh, nice.
And live in a space big enough for him.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so happy. But how much were they feeding him? Because they said overfeeding, and I didn't realize OP didn't really mention that before, and maybe she didn't really understand that it was overfeeding until like the guy said it. My husband and I have talked about this, and he acknowledged that his fervent desire to fulfill his childhood dream made him careless and selfish. That he wasn't trying to be malicious towards me, but he just wanted the snake so badly he'd do and say anything to keep it. It still seems like, though, that he hasn't learned, which I'm not expecting this early, but it's still a mite disappointing. He talked yesterday about getting a ball python, and I put my foot down. I don't think we should get another snake for a long time. Unbelievable. He learned nothing.
Pythons are like the ones that like wrap around you though, right?
Yeah.
I remember them coming to our school when I was younger.
Yeah, same. Yeah, ball pythons are smaller. No, he ruined it. They could have just kept getting small snakes and everything would have been fine. On Sunday, I sat him down and asked him to tell me the truth of how he got the python. Because walking into a pet shop for a milk snake and just finding a Burmese was sounding more and more implausible the more I thought about it. Yeah, I feel like he planned this. He admitted that he arranged to get one with a breeder online while he was telling me he wanted a little snake, meaning he was actively lying to me. Break up with this man. Divorce him. This breeder is also a state away, meaning my husband participated in something illegal when he met up with him to get it, since transporting Burmese pythons across state lines is against the Lacey Act. I'm very angry about this. I'm upset about his lies, and I'm upset that he blew me off for months. He admitted he lied just because he knew I'd say no, which shows such an immaturity that it almost disgusts me. I'm upset that he broke the law. Oh my God. This gets worse and worse. I'm upset that he only listened to what I told him when it came from someone else. Apparently, he's been having a quarter-life crisis that he didn't tell me about because he feels that he should have accomplished more with his life at 26. He never went to college. I feel sympathy for him with that, but that's no excuse to treat me badly. Absolutely not. He's so immature.
Yeah.
Like, you're 26 and this is, yikes. I moved back home with Kitty last night, but our marriage is in severe jeopardy right now due to the lying and the lack of respect my husband has shown me. But I made vows to stick with him and I don't take those lightly. We're going to be getting counseling, which I hope will make him see what was wrong with what he did rather than a knee-jerk response to being in trouble, so to speak, and will strengthen us. If not, well, I'll have to consider my options. And there is a PS and one more update.
I don't like his attitude still.
I don't like his attitude. And I understand not wanting to like divorce him right away over this, but I think it is a red flag to keep an eye out on and, you know, make sure he's not doing this again.
Yeah, because I mean, already one strike for not communicating beforehand.
Not communicating.
And then reacting this way. You could have come to like realization with your wife. You had an expert to tell you this.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
That's the thing. Like the wife brought those concerns forward and he didn't listen to her until someone else outside was like, hey, don't do that. That's wild. I also think that's a lack of respect to your wife.
Yeah.
But there is a PS. People were saying in the other post that we were actually feeding the snake guinea pigs and that I was lying to make the snake look bad. Well, I was fudging the truth, but not in that way. We were feeding it dead piglets.
That's what I thought.
I get needing to feed an animal the things that it needs.
Piglets?
Yeah. However, this is a huge undertaking for someone who did not agree to it. And the husband's not even doing it. My husband's cousin owns a working ranch with several pigs, and my husband was buying them from him for a pretty penny. I didn't want to say because I thought people would focus on the snake eating baby animals and start calling for its blood instead of offering me advice. No, again, an animal's got to eat when an animal's got to eat. That's not the issue. It's just the husband.
Wow.
And a final update.
Whoa, there's more?
There's more.
Wait a sec. Okay. Already gave her thoughts on this.
So the snake is gone.
Snake's gone.
Yeah, we found out that it was rehoused.
He wants another snake.
Yeah.
But she's like, no.
And we're hoping they're going to counseling now, hopefully.
Okay.
Update 2. Hi, I'm back. The snake is still gone, but I guess I'm coming back out of desperation. People messaged me wanting to know how I was doing.
Aw.
On the surface, therapy has been going well. My husband has been doing everything right. He's been contrite, open-minded, and treats me like a princess at all times. That's good. I can tell at home that he's making a conscious effort to listen to my opinions and thoughts and incorporate our therapist's suggestions into our life. I feel like the hugest bee saying this, but I don't think it's enough. I think that was such a big thing that he did, and I feel like it's fair to not be over it.
I just want to know what his effort is afterwards.
Yeah.
Is his attitude still the same?
Yeah, well, it seems like it's changed, but, you know.
It doesn't seem like he wants the relationship.
Yeah, I don't know. OP continues, over these past few weeks, I've had to come to terms with the fact that something about how I view my husband has fundamentally changed. And finally, after extensive soul searching a few days ago, I realized what it was. I have no respect for his intelligence anymore after all this. Just like he's a freaking idiot. That is very, very important to me. And now it's just gone. And I don't know how it can come back without him getting a personality overhaul. It's killed my physical attraction to him. I normally have a high libido. And prior to all this, we made love 4 to 5 times a week. Now, since all this went down, we've been intimate 3 times a week or just total?
I would say total.
Oh, to be fair, while Snake was here, we were down to 2 to 3 times a week, but it was still more frequent than this.
Ooh.
Yikes. I think it would be so funny if this was posted on r/snakes. She's like, my libido is down. And they're like, well, I can only tell you about Snake's libido. Despite all the changes he's making, he's still himself, and I don't think I can like who I know him to be now. He's still his goofy, absent-minded self who needs me to balance the checkbook and pack his lunch. Oh my God.
Oh no. No.
I can't respect that anymore. I don't want to be his mom or a naggy sitcom wife. I used to love doing these things for him. Throughout our relationship, I've taken care of him, patched him up, and helped him solve his problems. I always saw it as the ultimate expression of love. Now I'm just sick of it. He can tell something's still wrong. He's irritated about my lack of forgiveness and lack of sex drive lately when he's objectively doing all the right things. But his lack of understanding towards my apprehension makes my feelings even more pronounced. I realized the other day that I love him dearly as a friend. I've known him since I was 9 years old, but no longer as a husband. Ouch, that's rough. That devastates me. I can't believe I'm thinking divorce after less than a year of marriage.
Oh my.
Wow, I feel like such a failure. I haven't broached these feelings in therapy yet because they crystallized only a few days ago, but I don't know how to start because I know saying them will mean my marriage will be over. I have talked to my mom and friends about this, and they all tell me to wait longer, to stick it out, because I made vows. But I feel like I found out something fundamental about my husband that I wish I never had, and that nothing can be the same now. Ooh, ouch.
I mean,
I don't love the thing about the vows. I don't think you owe someone that you're not in love with anymore. Even if you've like married them, I think that was a pretty big thing to find out. Like, I feel like it's fair to not be able to forgive your husband over that.
perhaps, yeah. I feel like he could have made a comeback for sure.
He could have. He was trying to do the right things.
The right thing was whenever she voiced her opinions, and you should have took like the wrong thing, the strike one, you took it home without talking to her, and then
yes, he lied to her, broke the law.
Oh shoot, this thing lives up 20 years and it could eat my cat and or kid. Yeah, we should probably get rid of it.
Yeah, prior things he could have done. And I think it's fair for her to be like, he literally only listened when someone else told him.
Yeah, like she had to bring someone else into the relationship.
Only being like apologetic because the therapist told him. So like when are we gonna get like him realizing that he needs to take accountability?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's still having her make his lunches.
Balance a checkbook.
Yeah, it seems like throughout the story he's been really immature, and just like I totally get her being like, yeah, he's not intelligent.
Yeah, and I feel like in a way this guy's not being very his own man.
He's not being independent.
Yeah, not being independent. Like as your own woman, you are doing your own thing, you're making it happen. Being your own man, you're like, you know, leading and like you got something going on. It just feels like she's kind of mothering him.
Yeah, it's just not a healthy relationship.
It's like a mother-child relationship rather than a husband-wife.
Like he brings home a pet and she's forced to take on the mother role of like, we cannot have a pet like that.
Then she's taking care of it, feeding the pet.
Yeah, I think it's fair for her to consider divorce.
Yeah. It's so sad to see.
After a year of relationship.
And
they knew each other since they were 9 years old, which also might have contributed to this, you know, marriage. They've known each other so long. They probably started dating when they were young.
Felt forced into it.
They might not have felt forced into it, but like you don't really
know anyone else.
I guess you don't know anyone else. You don't know what's outside of that.
It's really interesting, the emotional intelligence part.
Yeah. It's absent. But that's the whole story. The snake is gone. They're on the road to divorce. Everything's good.
Everything's good. Yeah. I think my dad used to own a snake, and then my mom made him
get rid of
it before I was around.
What was it, a big snake?
Yeah, he just like let it out in the woods.
It's terrifying. I'm just imagining like a snake being let out like in the wild, and you're walking around one day and you see a giant like Burmese python in the woods. Like, how did this get here? Burmese pythons aren't even like native to this area.
It's like eating a baby deer.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yikes.
Sorry, snake people.
Yeah, I'm very into snakes, but I think you have to know how to care for any pet that you get.
Neutral.
Riley's neutral about snakes. But that's all the stories that we have for you today.
Yes. If you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you. And see you tomorrow.